Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 24th Celebrity Typing live stream. And thank you already to Pel Valkyrie and Isaac for your super chats. Greatly appreciated. For those who don't know how this works, the idea is that you should make a super chat of at least $20, and I will type anyone you want me to type as long as they are enough of a public figure that I can find enough information on which to type them. So if you'd like me to do that, please make that super chat. In the meantime, I'm going to crack on with Pale Valkyrie's suggestion of Count Dankula. What a wonderful idea. Absolutely wonderful. Let's look at Count Dankula. So, Count Dankula, whose proper name is Mark Meechan. What can we say about him? Maybe he's on Grokpedia. Let's take a look at Grokpedia. Let's see. It's actually not. There's something else coming up, but not. Let me just check. Okay, there we go. There we go. So that's the online pseudonym of Mark Meechan, a Scottish YouTuber and comedian recognized for posting a satirical video. Oh, I haven't shared my screen. Let me do that now. Hang on a second. Sharing the screen. Good. Now you can see. What was I saying? So he posted a satirical video in 2016 in which he trained his girlfriend's pug dog to raise its paw in response to phrases such as "see Carl gas juice" as a joke to annoy his girlfriend. The video led to his arrest and 2018 conviction in Airdrie Sheriff Court under Section 127 of the Communications Act for sending a grossly offensive electronic communication via YouTube, resulting in the fine of £800. The case drew international attention as a test of free expression boundaries. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible what happened to him. But with advocates arguing it exemplified overreach in prosecuting satire and offensive humour. Quite right. This is one of the issues of the Scottish approach to free speech, I'm afraid, although the English has recently become not that much better. Appeals against the conviction, including to the Sheriff Principal and a bid for permission to approach the UK Supreme Court, were refused, upholding the original verdict. Jeepers. He operates under the Count Dankula moniker, producing content featuring comedy sketches, social commentary, and critiques of political correctness, aligning him with online skeptic and anti-establishment circles. And the Nazi pug incident elevated his profile as a figure in UK free speech discussions, where he has defended the right to offend as integral to expression, influencing broader debates on censorship and comedy. He also serves as a candidate for UKIP in the European Parliament elections in Scotland, though the party faced scrutiny of his past online forum associations and containing offensive language. His work in legal battle positioned him within the freedom movement, emphasizing resistance to perceived erosions of civil liberties in digital media. All right. He's a pretty funny guy, but has not been treated well for it. He started under his own online persona in 2014, focusing on comedy sketches, introduces his eccentric, aristocratic vampire character inspired by Eastern European folklore. Early content features short, humorous videos drawing on Scottish culture and everyday absurdities, such as parodies of local life and character-driven skits, help build his distinctive persona. His comedy relies on deadpan delivery that underscores the absurdity of everyday situations, often amplified through shock value to provoke reactions from viewers. His sketches frequently satirize political correctness by exaggerating social norms and hypocrisies, highlighting annoyances in modern life, such as bureaucratic absurdities and cultural shifts in Scotland. Let's see. Missy was actually arrested for this. He's done free speech advocacy. He had more than £50,000 on GoFundMe. Public speaking. So, following his trial, he delivered a speech at the Day for Freedom event in London on 2018, where he emphasized the need to safeguard free speech to prevent similar prosecution, saying, "I want to make sure that what has happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else." In various interviews, he's discussed the broad implications of his conviction for comedians, argument a subjective offense should not criminalize humor intended as satire. He believes in free expression as paramount, contending that allowing authorities to deem material grossly offensive stifles artistic liberty without clear boundaries. Right, what else? Yep, he has interacted quite closely with Carl Benjamin, Paul Joseph Watson, those sorts of figures. Sort of the anti-establishment new online right. Right, let's see if we can find some content on Count Dankula on YouTube. This is something quite recent. Let's take a look. We can also go back to some of his early stuff as well. That could be useful. So I'll do that soon.
The Second World War is overdone. This is obvious if you try to watch any war film made over the last 70 years. As, despite the fact that it was obviously incredibly important and still sadly shapes the socio-political paradigm that we find ourselves in, it's also become incredibly stale. After all, how many times are we going to watch the exact same movie about Guga Johnny Yang, who is very bluntly lorded to be a Jew and or a Polish person, malinger around the Western Front, spout off some thinly veiled contemporary politics before partaking in a stupidly over-the-top power fantasy because Guga Johnny Yang is a pretty cool guy that doesn't afraid of anything. Childish ranting about Hollywood aside, today we will be covering the exploits of a man who will need no introduction if you're a Nordie of the Paisley persuasion. A plucky paddy who pounded Jerry German across North Africa and was one of the de facto founding fathers of contemporary Special Forces doctrine. Regionally legendary.
It's on a series of absolute mad lads.
The Mick Marauder. Paddy May.
Seems like a kind of history focus right now.
Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. Why is nobody talking about these hidden performance experiments connected to the US military? Or you haven't heard about it? Well, then you just might be a little bit silly, so just hear what jabroni Tony Robbins has to say in this clip.
Check this out. There's two things. First, they do the turn on and off gene flow. They also have a competing component because they go into sludge, which is cleaning up your DNA. These sirtuins have a fuel that you probably heard of called NAD. So NAD is wonderful, but NAD is a size molecule that, as you probably know, needs a precursor called NMN that actually gets into the body. 2 years, top secret. They have been working with our military, with our special forces. And about a month and a half ago in Boston, the commander got so excited, he slipped the bullets. And it was just in the game of last week. So you know all of it. And I don't work something this time. I can't tell you exactly, but I tell you what's the importance the commander said. He's the strongest humans.
High when you're young, but by around the age of 40, they drop by roughly 50%, contributing to lower energy and slower recovery. And as Gary Breaker often explains, the body doesn't use NAD directly, it relies on precursors like NMN. You know, NAD,
so
it's actually not NAD.
The point is, it is a more informative piece. It's comedic, but it's info comedy, what he's doing.
Story isn't about looking younger, it's about slowing the cellular decline that people accept as just normal aging. lower energy, slower recovery, and a body that stops responding the way it used to. Europe banned NMN in 2022, not for safety, but because it works too well. Big Pharma is developing a $3,000 version of this. So they're just trying to ban the cheaper version. Classic move, price out everybody but the rich from reducing aging. The NMN that I use is Black Forest NMN. It's GMO free, made in the United States, and it includes piperine for around 30%.
Is this an advertisement?
And the best part is that Black Forest just launched their biggest deal of the year, and
This is an advertisement.
United Kingdom, where on the 11th of
Right,
January
there we go.
1915, Robert Blair Main was born as the third son of 7 children. He was born into a family of landed Ulster Scotsmen who were successful merchants and ragingly Presbyterian, owning a wine and grocery shop alongside a myriad of other businesses and establishments all across County Down. That is to say that he was never really wanting as a boy.
Just skip a bit more.
Colonel Geoffrey Key, who, fun fact, was the youngest acting lieutenant colonel in the entire empire at this point, being a spry 24 years old at the time of his death in November of 1941. He claims that Paddy Boy was inside the officer's mess for a living commando.
Right, so it's basically it's this history. So what else does he do? Okay, so there's also more modern commentary as well. The Fall of Frankie Boyle, the Neanderthals of Toul. Interesting. It's a number of interesting topics he's talking about. The Crusader King never existed. Preston. Yep. Okay. It's quite a history on. Let's look at some of his early stuff. What's this?
And now, the nations of the world, brought to you by Count Dankula.
It seems older.
Chelsea just cheap labour, alcoholism, in that place that has all the rice. Filthy cockroaches and thieving wee gypsies in the place that got fucking nuked twice. Hitmen on scooters and edgy school shooters, and the one where the president's a cuck, the one where it's sunny, the one with no money, and the one that is completely fucked. Muslims and Muslims and Muslims and Muslims, and also that one with the Jews. All of the Slavs that removed the kebabs, and the ones that can't put in the loo. Democrat backers and those pesky hackers, the one with the terrorist attacks, really hot warming, the one with the famine, and the one that won white people back. Pedos and ladyboys, boomerang chuckers.
Okay, please. Is that he mixes humor, shock value humor, with informative content.
You name it.
All right, okay. Let's see if there's any interviews of him. It's key thing here. He's someone who has quite sincere. No, I don't want to watch this. No, it seems to me already that he's someone who has quite a range of interests and likes to report on those areas of interest, but likes to do it in a way which isn't quite serious and doesn't want to do things in a way that is too serious. And as a result, does things that are quite satirical and quite provocative, but can also backfire, as what happened with the Nazi pug. Oh, good. Here's an interview with Graham Linehan. Very interesting.
No, I don't regret doing it. Like, it was some parts of it were fun, a lot of it was quite shit. Like, especially, like, for my family, because we all knew that I was going to get made an example of. Like, we all knew that the press were coming after me. Like, the courts really came after me because the prosecutor in my case was actually a senior prosecutor that had retired to administrational work. They actually brought him out of that to, like, come and prosecute my case. They actually went out, like, It's almost like he's the retired cop chopping wood in the forest. We need you out of retirement, McCree. I don't do that anymore. Like that's almost what it was like. Yeah. So like my family were freaking out. Like basically any time that the trial got mentioned and brought up to like my wife or my mother, like they would just cry. They were pretty sure that I was going to get away. Yeah. And I think if it wasn't for so many people watching my case, I would have been put away. Yeah. About it. They've almost become like the Republicans in the 1960s, where whenever they heard a swear word on TV, they would clutch their pearls and fall on the fainting couch. Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons causes devil worship. You know, like that's what these people are like. Yeah. Like they're just boring boomers. They've just replaced the ones from before. The boring boomers just with a different political perspective. Graham Linehan celebrated and championed like me getting arrested and charged for my joke, and he like really came after me on Twitter, even though he defended people in the past that got in trouble for jokes that they made. And I know it sounds bad, right? But I was actually kind of hurt by it because he created like amazing comedies. He created Black Books, Father Ted, the IT.
Graham Linehan now is constantly being got out over trans stuff.
Of comedy, where he's now at the top and he's kicking the ladders away to make sure they can get to where he was. Where he's made jokes like mine. He did an entire episode of Father Ted that was completely themed around Nazism and everything. And then he also made like jokes about trans people and all this type of stuff as well, which is why I was
definitely swung around on Graham Linehan.
He even tried to get when I launched my GoFundMe to fund my appeal, he tweeted at GoFundMe to try and get it shut down. Yeah, he actually tried to sabotage my appeal.
Well, it seems like a lot of those guys that kind of do the 180. It seems from
because he got in trouble.
Yeah,
he got in trouble with the police because he was he said a few things about trans people, and the difference is I was joking, right? Graham Linehan meant what he said, right? So, and then the cops showed up at his door and they had an investigation into him. And even though I think the guy's an absolute weaponized. Like, I supported him. I was like, that's your right to say those things.
Yep. So it appeals to consistency here and disliking hypocrisy.
Do you play Deus Ex? No. The game, there's a bit where he gets all his cybernetics and everyone's asking him about it, and he constantly says, I never asked for this.
I never asked for this. I never asked for this. I run to that meme.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But it's sort of like, I just wanted to make a meme in my bedroom and just have a laugh, and then suddenly I'm running for the MEP in the European elections, and I was sitting there going, wait, hold on, how the fuck did this happen? Total accident, yeah. I'm hoping to get more involved because the politicians right now do not give the tiniest shit about freedom of speech. If anything, they're campaigning for more laws to take it away and restrict it even further. So we need rid of them. They're authoritarians, that's what they are. They're more concerned about preserving their own power and hold on society than actually helping society. So people don't realise how bad a problem is until they get affected by it. And one of the best examples I like to use is a friend of mine who's a comedian called Konstantin Kisin, and he tells us
that's not a photo of him. Very old.
He says to the crowds, in Russia last year, 300 people were arrested for things they said on social media, and the crowd nod along and go, well, it's Russia, of course. And then he goes, in Britain, it was 3,000. And the whole crowd shit themselves in panic. And I love that joke because nobody laughs. The crowd instead shit themselves because they realise that slowly but surely our regime has been building itself around them and they've not even noticed.
And he also, the things that appeal to him, things which are concentrated around quite sharp emotional reactions to things.
Nothing to hide, nothing to fear, citizen.
Yeah. So I think I'm reasonably quite a lot pointing here towards him being a clarity-seeking type, either alpha or beta.
Yeah.
Of the two, I probably lean more alpha. I think this is someone who is pretty easygoing, quite light-hearted, but sort of found himself thrust into this sort of environment. Even that he really doesn't want things to be taken too seriously. He doesn't want to come across as someone who takes himself too seriously. Any other interviews? Eastern Orthodoxy. Let's go look at this.
It says that new parishes are planned all across the Western world because there's a tsunami of male worshippers who particularly like the discipline, and there's a keeping fit and sort of masculine element to it. Can you just explain and enlighten me about what's going on?
Well, I don't think the keeping fit and masculine part, it's not really in the Bible. It just seems to be things that people have decided to do, and I think it's just basically a methodology for self-improvement. That's what it seems to be. Basically, for a while, young men have been struggling for a long time now. Basically, a lot of them have checked out of society, and we feel that society doesn't really care about us anymore. So a lot of people are basically finding a place in Christ, but they're also wanting to improve themselves, not just mentally and spiritually, but physically as well. So it's sort of a thing that kind of conjoined onto the community where men are wanting to get fitter, get healthier. I've actually lost about 40 pounds like in the last year.
It does seem thinner. Yeah.
What's that, about three stone or something?
Oh yeah, if you look at old photos of me, especially on my channel, I used to be a big fat boy as well. Yeah, but yeah, it's mostly because in regards to the Orthodox Church as well, people do enjoy the doctrine. People do see it as the more legitimate of the churches, and a lot of people kind of feel like the other churches have kind of been co-opted.
I was going to say then. So why can't? I mean, what's wrong with say Justin Welby? I know he's gone now, but why isn't Justin Welby and the like providing that kind of inspiration?
I don't know who that is, I'm afraid.
The Archbishop of Canterbury. He's called probably the wokest Archbishop ever. Bangs on about BLM and multiculturalism and so on. He does everything but promote Christianity half the time.
Yeah, well, that'll be the reason why. I mean, if nobody's actually, the church is supposed to be about Christ and the Lord.
He doesn't mind the fact that he doesn't know who Justin Welby is.
That's not about it. It's basically, if that is what he was doing, then he was just basically using his position of power to push the overall message, which is destroying society.
Having not known who he was, he's perfectly happy to then come up with an explanation of how of what he might be up to or doing. That's very interesting.
Then he shouldn't be in that position at all.
Why do you think so many young men feel lost these days? And I say young men, including men who, I guess, maybe middle-aged, aren't so young, maybe up to 30s, 40s, maybe in 50s. What is going on with men these days?
Society doesn't care about us anymore at all. They don't care. If you want to have a little bit of national pride or you want to improve yourself...
Right, I think that's another good reason for saying he doesn't value extroverted logic very much.
Even though that's your natural drive to look for such things.
But also, I think from that is not someone who feels vulnerable in his logic.
That's what happened. Last year was an extremely bad year for me, and that's why I started drifting towards the church. Because I had friends of mine and stuff like that that were, inviting me down, telling me to come down and everything, and it's helped me massively mentally. It's helped me in a huge way, and a lot of men are mentally struggling, so which is why, inevitably a lot of them are finding themselves going to church.
See, I think he is a clarity-seeking type and a contrarian, which means he's either an ILE, an SLE, an ESC, or an EIE, and of these I lean more alpha, so I'm between ILE and ESC. Although, to be honest, I think most likely ILE. Given the nature of his videos and how it's focusing in on different biographies of different interesting people.
Your man or your boyfriend or your brother's working out a lot. Watch that because he might just be far right.
Sorry, I don't want to die before I'm 50. Must be far right.
And just lastly, tell me, what have you found then from Orthodox Christianity? What have you found from Jesus and your relationship with Jesus?
I found it's an extremely good community. I've found that I've been to a lot of different churches before, and I've noticed that the Orthodox Church doesn't expect anything back. All they care about is Christ. That's all they care about, and that's what they love, and that's what they enjoy. They don't expect anything from you except...
Doesn't like expectations put onto him.
Lifts each other up, tries to take care of each other, and that's...
Oh yeah. Welby, I think Welby is an LII.
Since I've started with church as well, I find it's just helped me massively mentally, and it is a comfort.
Okay. What else can we see here? What's this? Come on, come on, come on.
We're going to kick off with Saturday's Telegraph, some good old-fashioned election hot takes.
Yes, so this is the Labour election result is the most distorted in history. Party wins the
Here's the thing: is contrarian. It's clear to me he decides how he comes across. He decides what mood, what timbre he releases. He doesn't blend in well on that. Sometimes he pushes them and it becomes provocative. But also he deliberately dresses in a way which is very sort of toned down and not like toned down. So he dresses in a way which is so that I'm not trying to come across as serious, and it's important to him how he comes across in that respect. So it definitely suggests contrarian. I don't think his logic is in a sort of fragile position.
Scheme for proportional representation.
It suggests greater flexibility.
He did have a referendum.
Assuming he's not, say, a TI lead, which I don't think he's a TI lead.
Decided to, so having a second referendum seems.
That sounds familiar.
Yes. But this time it was
That sort of going to the church and finding that, and sort of his friends getting him to go into that. It suggests the logic side is actually the more fluid and flexible side, not the ethics.
It's just what do you what?
I love how nervous that makes people. Libertarian, don't worry, not fascism. I don't want a government.
But he's also very, as saying his TI is there. He knows what his creeds are. He knows he's a libertarian. He knows he stands up. He believes in freedom and things should be open and that sort of thing. So I think the TI is there. He's not just totally influenceable here. And he spoke of finding church about finding a community, finding a belonging, and it being a comfort, which I think is and the idea is no expectations and no sort of pressure. It strikes me as sort of the Alpha SF side being provided by that, not something he brings.
So is that
You're exposing my plan.
Yeah. What to say? Democracy isn't perfect, but it's the best we've got. Or
Yeah. It was like someone the other day that was going on about free speech, and they went, "Yeah, I'm all for free speech, but when it's the right kind of free speech," which I didn't understand. Also, as well, the turnout has dropped to a new level, and it was interesting because I was watching Mary Black from the SNP, who was discussing, the problems with the postal votes, the date was incorrect, and all this kind of stuff. And also, the thing that surprised me, and I've met her a couple of times, I think she's quite nice, but she said, "I discovered it was raining in Scotland today. I'm wondering if that affected the turnout." And it's like, it rains in Scotland every day. Whether it's a summer, we had an election in Scotland, I think in November. Ian Blackford was appalled. There was a general election, I think, in November or December, and he was appalled because people in his constituency, there was no street lighting. So they couldn't go out at night, and according to Mary, she's now worried that if there's a bit of rain and you're Scottish, you may or may not want to vote. But one person that didn't vote was Nicola Sturgeon's sister.
okay, and how do you know that? You've been following her?
No, not at all. I'm not like that. I just keep an eye on certain people. No, she's come out and said,
Right, is there anything else? Too much about this guy, not enough of him.
This Telegraph article.
Let's see. Oh, there's him in his comedy live. Let's see some of that. It's funny how much right-wing comedy that's sort of come up in the last few years. It never used to be like that. It used to be so left-wing. That's kind of flipping the other way. Come on. I want to see this.
If we could have a quick show of hands. It's good to have Scotland in the house. That's feeling lovely. We got a show of hands. Who here is voting Labour? So there's a few of you. Me too. There was an awful lot of you that didn't put their hands up, but hopefully by the end of the night, I will have changed their minds.
Very interested in changing minds. Though, again, not seriously.
Wow.
But also want to change your mind.
and redistribution of wealth. Now, they say in a capitalist society, if you work hard, put the effort in, you can achieve your dreams.
This is not grounded topics. He's talking about ideas. He's talking about historical events. That's what he's interested in. It's not grounded situation stuff.
Redistributing the wealth is something we do practice in my household. Mummy and Daddy let me use their credit card. Workers' rights is another thing that would come with communism. Whenever I look around the world and I see the farmers, the miners, factory workers working in appalling conditions that give them no end of health conditions and doing 80-hour weeks and sometimes collapsing with fatigue on the work floor. I just want them to know that whenever I'm doing my 14 hours a week part-time in Starbucks, I know how you feel. Fix the economy is something that communism absolutely would be able to do. The economy right now is broken, and communism would fix that because something cannot be broken if it doesn't exist. Another thing that communism would fix is racism. I don't got that fucking some people know who I am.
And he just wears that on his sleeve. He does not mind.
How do we do this through acceptance, understanding, and tolerance? Well, what do we do if people don't want to be tolerant? We would institute tolerance by force.
Picking out the contradictions there.
Intolerance.
Okay. I think we've seen a lot of it. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, Count Dankler quotes. At the moment, I'm reasonably sure he is. What is this? What is this? Okay. He's got a TV tropes thing. Okay. It's absolute mad lads on Shoka Asahara did go over how bizarre and violent his Doomsday cult was and closed out in this way. But it's good to know that Shoka Asahara met his Doomsday after a quick drop and a sudden stop. Burning hell fat anime Jesus. And to go with that, that's with Mad Lads and Bob Ross. Oh, that's an interesting one. He had his own take to accompany Bob Ross's life story. He made one for Buddha, which he ended up punching. Then he made a happy little tree, accompanied by a marijuana leaf for number 666, and get good scrub before slicing it with his sword. Finally, after going over Bob Ross's death, he simply painted an F. Interesting. Is this real? I want to see this. So there's a lot of, shocking humor which he uses. But it never feels too heavy. What is that? Makes mention of how one of the people involved in the story had been given quite the mindless sense of committing. Yeah. I want to see this one of Bob Ross. That should be quite funny, and maybe it can tell us something. Right. Oh, that must be his news channel. Killing. Okay. Let's take a look at that in just a bit. Let's take a look at this.
Today's mad lad wasn't even mad. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't psychotic. He didn't even do anything that you would consider to be questionable. I just wanted to do this for a bit of fun, and mainly because I respect him so goddamn much.
So he blends information with humor. And let's see how, if there's any sort of factual accuracy to this whatsoever.
Bonjour, Cunts, and welcome back. You'll excuse me, I've got some tubes in my vein.
Before we get into this, mad lad, and because I am just straight up balling, we're back.
He's
with
playing
another
video
sponsor
games as well.
great browser game called Vikings War of Clans.
Okay, that's
Vikings
his
are badass.
advertisement.
Do you like Vikings? Of course you like
Right.
Vikings. Welcome to another episode of Absolute Mad Lads, and today we're going to be talking about Robert Norman Ross, who was born in Daytona Beach, Florida on the 29th of October, 1942. As a child, Bob had a hobby of taking care of sick and abandoned animals. These animals included things from squirrels to rabbits, from armadillos to snakes, and even at one point, an alligator.
It's interesting that he really likes Bob Ross.
Happy
That's
about.
also quite telling.
This is a hobby that he would hold for his entire life. He would also constantly encourage his viewers to look after and take care of sick animals.
So, if you see little creatures around your house, help take care of them. As they're God's little creatures. And they're fantastic. Get to know them. Make friends with them.
One thing that Bob would very often do is bring some of these animals he was taking care of out onto the show. He would tell you their name, tell you their story, and then he would just carry on painting. One of the most famous of these animals was Peapod the pocket squirrel.
Okay.
This was a squirrel that would actually live in Bob Ross's pocket, and he would actually keep it in.
Very good at painting either.
Watch what's in there. Sit. He likes to sleep in my hand.
Okay, so yeah, I think Iley makes the most sense for Count Dankula. So thank you very much, Pel Valkyrie, for that one. Now, due to the rules, those who make larger super chats get prioritized. So because £20 is bigger than $20, I'm going to go with Mr. Beast next. Thank you, Daniel. Greatly appreciated. So let's look at Mr. Beast. So, who is Mr. Beast? Let's go on to Wikipedia. So, James Stephen or Jimmy Donaldson, born 1998. He is known professionally as Mr. Beast, an American YouTuber, entrepreneur, and philanthropist whose content centers on elaborate challenges, massive cash prizes, and viral stunts that have driven his main channel to 473 million subscribers as of late March 2026, the highest on the platform. Born in Wichita, Kansas, and raised in Greenville, North Carolina, launched his YouTube channel at the age of 13, initially posting gaming videos and memes before pivoting to attention-grabbing formats like endurance tests and giveaways that scaled with his audience growth. So, already sounds like a very sort of targeted YouTube career grower. His videos often involve real monetary incentives, totaling hundreds of millions in payouts, funded by ad revenue, with an estimated RPM of 1.36 to 5.45 per thousand views. Varying by audience demographics, with monthly earnings of approximately 4 to 15 million from billions of views. Wow. He's also fostered let's see, a business empire including Feastables, Mr. Beast burger, virtual restaurants, and lunchy snack kits philanthropically. He spearheaded campaigns like Team Trees, Team Seas, and Team Water, providing clean water with access to millions, alongside his Beast Philanthropy channel, dedicated to direct aid to building wells in Africa and finding surgeries. Though these efforts have drawn scrutiny for potentially exploiting participants or prioritizing spectacle over systemic solutions. His formula of high engagement, value exchange economy has yielded an estimated net worth of approximately 2.6 billion, largely illiquid and tied up in beast industries and other assets, with Johnson stating in the Wall Street Journal that he has negative cash in his personal bank account, keeps less than 1 million in personal accounts, and borrows funds, including from family, for expenses, and positioned him as YouTube's top earner. He's faced controversies, including lawsuits over workplace conditions, his reality show, Beast Games, and product quality issues with Lunchly, highlighting tensions between rapid scaling and operational oversight. So this guy is grown very big. perhaps the logistical aspects and the smoothness of his functioning is lacking, it suggests, both for himself and for people who then work for him. So I'm already getting the sense that the introverted sensation is not really there. Let's see what else we can see. So he initially started a YouTube channel, age of 13, under username MrB6000. For Mr. Beast's handle being unavailable. His earliest videos consisted primarily of gaming content. He had repeatedly attempted to join the gaming clan FAZE Clan from producing recruitment challenge videos, but was rejected multiple times. He later disclosed in January 2026. So that was due to minimal traction, with the channel accumulating just 22 subscribers by the end of 2012 and growing to only 612 by 2013. Goodness. What else? Growth remains stagnant. So indicative of low algorithmic favor and limited audience retention. He iteratively experimented with content formats, analyzing viewer drop-off rates and refining thumbnails, titles, and video hooks to combat poor performance metrics, like sub 50% retention of many uploads. So yeah, he approached it in terms of data analysis, it sounds to me, really experimenting in terms of what actually worked. And by 2016, he pivoted towards endurance-style stunts, filming precursors to more ambitious challenges, such as extended counting sessions, tested production limits, and a shoestring budget. His efforts have not yet broken through significantly, with subscriber count about 460,000 only late in the year. His breakthrough virality came in 2017. He uploaded Counting to 100,000, a 40-hour endurance video that marked his first major viral success, accumulating tens of millions of views over time. And 100,000, might watch that. Building on this momentum, he shifted to high-stakes challenge formats, such as endurance contests with escalating cash prizes, done by videos offering rewards for prolonged participation. So he did this because he realized it worked, it sounds to me. Exponential growth during the COVID-19 lockdowns, he adapted his content to indoor settings, producing elaborate challenge videos that capitalize on confined space and large participant groups, such as 500,000 to last to leave circle wins. This period marked a surge in production value, with videos featuring dozens of contestants competing for high-stakes prizes, aligned with heightened global indoor viewership as audiences sought escapist entertainment. He recreated Netflix's Squid Game in real life. It's quite creative. He solidified his dominance in 2020-2025, surpassing 447 million subscribers, being the platform's top spot ahead of competitors like T-Series. This occurred amid intensifying short-form video competition, an algorithmic shift in favoring diverse content formats, where he adapted by leveraging proprietary production and analytics to optimize viewer retention and counteract content saturation. He partnered with Salesforce for Super Bowl advertisements. Ongoing multi-stage treasure hunt. Interesting. So yeah, his signature challenge format centered on high-stakes competitions that emphasize physical and mental endurance, probabilistic luck, and interpersonal rivalry, with cash prizes frequently exceeding 100,000. Production logistics and scaling. The production operations are headquartered in Greenville, North Carolina, where investments include a $40 million facility. Wow. His challenge videos often feature large groups of participants who appear random, but are carefully selected through an open casting process to maintain authenticity and relatability. So everything's very carefully controlled. There's no sort of chaos here from the sound of it. Is major projects like Beast Games, where applicants submit 60-second audition tapes emphasizing positive energy, competitiveness, and memorability in the first 10 seconds. With casting directors reviewing thousands of those with strong on-camera presence. It's all geared towards maximizing views and thinking quite algorithmically around it seems. He's interacted with Elon Musk. Interesting. See, Isaac's already suggesting a gamma extrovert. I'm probably inclined to think that. And if gamma, I'm thinking LIE is making most sense right now, just from the sound of this. But let's see if this outlives actually seeing him in action. Efficiency critiques cost-benefit analysis, high leverage through low overhead partnerships where funds primarily support on-ground actions rather than administrative bloat. The Beast Philanthropies 2022 audited report showed all donations directed to program costs via netted NGOs outperforming many government aid programs hampered by bureaucracy and corruption. Interesting. So it sounds to me like it's also effective. 2022 Form 990 filing reported management general expenses 291,000 against total expenses, yielding overhead rate of approximately 3.26% with no separate fundraising expenses listed. This contrasts sharply with typical non-profit benchmarks, where administrative and fundraising overhead often range from 20 to 35% of total expenses. Such low overhead supports claims of operational efficiency, as over 96% of expenses directed towards program services like humanitarian aid distribution. That's a very good thing. What are the controversies then? 5 contestants from Beast Games Production filed a class action lawsuit alleging exhaustion and injuries from unsafe conditions, including sleep deprivation, inadequate food provisions, leading to fainting and hospitalization. Okay, so lots of introverted sensation problems here. Broader operational practices. Hang on. Because there's a signed participation agreements explicitly acknowledging risk of serious injury, death, and physical psychological harm, provision for medical evaluations, and on-site paramedics. He's across all of that, gets that all sorted out to protect himself, and then it doesn't really pay that much attention to these logistical matters. Logistical failures, logistical problems, operational problems, so delayed meals and access to issues into external factors, including severe weather, crowd strikes, software outage. Doesn't respond to the suit by calling the claims blown out of proportion, emphasizing that the production prioritized contestant welfare through signed waivers and professional staffing. Broad operational practice, Mr. Beast companies, including Beast Industries, are involved. Extended work schedules as a core element of scaling from a small YouTube operation to a business generating over 600 million. Right. Also, litigation of his burgers. Inedible, revolting, and undercooked products. His company released an AI-powered thumbnail generator through the ViewStats platform, enabling users to create YouTube thumbnails mimicking the styles of prominent creators by inputting prompts. The tool drew immediate criticism from YouTube artists and small creators argued it exploited their original work without consent, effectively functioning as a plagiarism machine. This guy just goes out and just wants to make as much money as possible, it sounds like. Personal life. In a high degree of privacy regarding his personal relationships, despite his public prominence. He engaged with Thea Boysen, a South African gamer, author, and content creator. What else? And that's planned for an intimate private wedding on an island, emphasizing seclusion for media attention. They have no children, but Donson publicly referred to a light-hearted AI-generated image of them with hypothetical offspring in July 2025, hinting at future family considerations without confirming any. Prior romantic history is largely undisclosed. So he keeps his private life very private and very different from his public interactions, which seems to me to be very much about the business and purely professional. He doesn't mix those things. He's diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Goodness. He initially wanted to do baseball. Interesting. He's publicly eschewed for explicit partisan affiliations. Yeah, because it doesn't affect. It's just bad for business for him to affirm anything. So he's not going to do that. Didn't like the tariff increases, calling them brutal, predicting they will serve a nail coffin for small businesses. It's interesting. He's defended direct actions more efficient than bureaucratic aid. So he's got there is a mind towards efficiency there as well. Consistently emphasize meritocracy as the foundation for all success. That makes sense for him. He prioritizes candidates who exhibit high competence, coachability, and an obsessive drive for results, explicitly avoiding mediocrity, which he describes as the worst employee trait. That's again fitting very much with the gamma extrovert style. Mr. Richard defended Tyson in June 2024, made renewed attacks on conservative commentators. Social risk to his brand's family-friendly image, opposition to bullying based on Tyson's transgender identity. This position reflected empirical pragmatism, prioritizing empirical evidence of harm over categorical affirmation. Retention of his predominantly young, diverse fan base despite activist criticism that he failed to champion things aggressively enough. So in most things, there's a tendency to be pragmatic over things and what protects his business, first and foremost. Allegations emerged of Tyson engaging in grooming behavior. Tyson then denied the claims but resigned from Mr. Beast's organization. Probably Mr. Beast to publicly denounced the alleged acts as unacceptable and unmade to identity, yada yada yada. Yeah, I'm playing very sort of safe position there. All right. What else? In interviews, outline principles central to success. This guy's relentless obsession of one's craft as a key advantage, leaving endurance of discomfort and persistence over years. Just reinvesting earnings into growth, being money as a tool for business expansion rather than personal accumulation. He observes that aiding others draws criticism but yields greater fulfillment than pursuing broad approval. Surrounding himself with driven peers through consistent collaboration that accelerates achievement. Success demands long-term focus, learning from setbacks, forgoing backup plans, embracing discomfort, cultivating originality via profound audience insight. It's all very data-driven. How do I succeed? How do I make this work? Thinking pragmatic in terms of what then protects the business. And at the same time, he reinvests his growth. He doesn't actually experience the he doesn't experience the tangible benefits of his wealth. He has very little money actually in his account, which again says that the introversion is just not really there. Is not really a thing he's thinking about very much. So I think he's most likely to be LIE from reading this. Could it be Eiley instead? I don't think so from looking at this. I mean, the strengths are of an LIE Riley, but I haven't seen anywhere he sort of put his neck out for almost sort of romanticized, passion-based, interest-based reasons, or for some sort of structural political ideology reason, like freedom or anything like that. He talks about meritocracy, but it's getting very much directed towards what makes businesses successful. So I'm leaning LIE from this. This is almost Jeff Bezos-ish stuff that we're reading. Even sort of having part of this company focused on charity and philanthropy. Again, it feels very into the Jeff Bezos as a way of doing things. So it's like, what do I do to keep up shareholder value by looking in this sort of way into a very extroverted ethics role? Let's look at him rather than just reading Grokkapedia, see if there's anything there to contradict any of this impression. Well, actually, let's first see his 100,000. The first viral. Is this it? 9 years ago. This is what's caused him to take off. The most I've ever tortured myself.
I'm about to count to 100,000. You don't believe me? Just watch this video.
all I want to say is just tweet the video out, share it with, maybe Keem or Scares. And if you're a YouTuber, just help a guy out. I mean, think of the pain out of
Very
that shit.
simple, this.
Screw it. Let's one.
This is 23.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
It's just this.
18. 6,532, 6,536, 6,532, 6,434, 6,000.
This is it. This is what he's doing. This is horrible.
67,538,
And he's doing this for views. It's not for laughs. It's not for anything that is rewarding or an extrovert. It's literally, this will give him money.
67,549, 67,548, 67,549, 751, 86,752.
Very simple. It gets you to watch different bits and pieces. Right. Let's see. 50 YouTubers fight. Jeepers.
YouTubers on the planet. Whichever one lasts the longest in this king will have $1 million for their subscribers. Never before seen in YouTube history. 1 billion subscribers worth of YouTubers are competing for $1 million. And the rules are simple. All right, put the camera down. Close the line. If you step on the, you lose your subscribers $1 million. So be careful. Last to leave wins it all.
Like, I watch these Squid Games, like, reality show, and it's like, I feel like I'm just a target. People are not going to be.
Got Logan Paul in it. Wow. So lots of your YouTube influencers, popular people brought together in this. Wow.
The higher the chance they might eliminate you. Find the money. I think you got the goofing around memo. Look at all the YouTubers laughing and having a good time. By the end of this video, that's not going to be the case. This video is absolutely the most brutal. Cutthroat piece of content you've seen these creators in. And the first challenge starts right now. Pull the curtain. You guys are not ready. Challenge number 1, you can temporarily an attempt to free throw. And if you make the shot, you give a subscriber of yours a free cyber truck. And you back in the challenge. But if you miss, your subscriber.
Wow, the amount of money being thrown around this is huge.
Was on the edge, trying to decide if the first challenge was worth it. But then Mark Rover did this. Jimmy! Peace! Look at all the YouTubers in the background. Oh, man. This is pressure. It's a subscriber. What's your name? Matthew.
It's just people. This is based around years of watching the algorithm, thinking what works, and doing that. 100,000 golden ice cream. Jeepers. This is not someone who creates things based on what he finds interesting. This is someone who let's let other people decide what's interesting. Let's let other people, decide what sort of mood they want. I'm just gonna find the most effective way of managing that. And as a result, being as successful as I can. So already it's telling me that the logic and the sensation are actually the stubborn part, whereas the ethics and intuition is actually the flexible part. Let's see an interview of Mr. Beast.
There's a reason no one makes videos like this. No one wants to live the life I live or be in my head. They would be miserable. Are you happy? I'm gonna be honest. So far, more unhappy than happy.
Well, has it ever crossed your mind to quit YouTube as a whole?
Oh yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh boy.
Okay. Can we just
Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. He is the
Okay.
biggest YouTuber on the planet, and he's building empire. I mean, is there anything this man can't do?
Your business empire is much bigger than most people realize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 26, and we have the largest YouTube channel in the world. And Beast Games is going to shatter some pretty crazy records. And we do 9 figures of Feastables. But a lot of that stems from being a very confused child that's not fitting in, that feels like a freak. Plus, I really wanted to take care of my mom because when I was 11, we literally went bankrupt and lost everything. Luckily, it worked out. And it's because I'm really good at obsessing over one thing more than anyone else on the planet. Like, I lost tens of millions of dollars on these games. But it's about making season 1 as good as possible. And I just really love solving complex problems. Like, how many kids do you think are in child labor in West Africa? Just on cocoa farms. That's 1.5 million. And so with Feastables, we're trying to get over 1 million kids out of child labor. But the ironic part is the more I help people, the more I get. Like, I've read over 5,000 messages telling me to kill myself. I mean, there's definitely times where I would cry, but if my mental health was a priority, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. This is the price you have to pay.
Yep. The low introverted sensation is there.
This has always blown my mind a little bit. 53% of you that listen
Okay.
to the show regularly
Right.
haven't yet subscribed to the show.
Yeah, my earliest years, I'm just stubborn, man. I just never give up. I mean, there's no world where I ever would have quit. I mean, if we're just jumping right into it, it's a great, no intro or anything, just boom. That's how you hold people. When I was 11, I just said, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to die trying. And I meant it. There's like, even if no one still watches my videos to this day, I would still be going. And so people hate it, but I'm just the most competitive, stubborn person you'll ever meet. And I just never give up.
Most competitive person.
I have no idea, to be honest.
So that's the extroverted sensation.
It was just in my DNA, in my bloodstream. My mom hated it growing up. We'd always argue and like, you know, she has this thing where like once Jimmy sets his mind to something, he just never stops. And it would always piss her off because when it was YouTube and she wanted me to be studying or things like that. But I really don't know. It's just always been how I am. And I think a lot of people have these weird tendencies and they tend to like try to like unlearn them. And like I had phases in my life where I was like, am I too extreme? Like people are very intimidated by me because I just been so obsessed with work and I'm so all
People
in.
are intimidated by him because he's too intense. There's an intensity, they can't relax around him. People don't actually get so intimidated by SCEs in the same way because SCEs have some mind towards introverted sensation.
Successful, you know, you're a lunatic when you have all these traits. And so back then, I'd occasionally be like, man, like, should I try to be more normal? But I just could never do it. Anytime I tried to, I mean,
Can't relax.
I mentioned this before, but
Doesn't relax.
Like, things that like I have a memory of that like really burned in my brain is like people one time like a high schooler told me when I was in middle school like all you do is talk about YouTube, like do you like know how to do anything else, like you're just like a freak. And I tried to like watch South Park, you know, because that's what a lot of people in my school watch to fit in, and I just couldn't. I was like, this is such a waste of time. I don't like I could be working right now. I tried to do all these things to like fit in, and I eventually just like stopped talking because I just didn't relate to anyone. And people used to call me mute. Like one of my teachers
Didn't relate to anyone.
Like, if I
so
was
the ethics is not the strong point here.
And the school I went to was entrepreneurial or wanted to build businesses, and I just didn't want to do anything else. And yeah, eventually I started to succeed, found other lunatics, and now life's great. But you know, I like to tell this story when I'm on podcasts because if you have a younger viewer who's in that same spot, you're not the problem. It's your environment, and you just gotta put yourself in a better environment.
What about your parents, mum and dad? You talk about your mother a lot.
Yeah. No, I don't. I didn't get it from them.
What influence did they both have on you?
Well, I don't really talk about my dad much. That's, you know, a long story. Don't need to get into it. But my mom, honestly, it's great now. Me and my mom have a phenomenal relationship, but on the come up, it was pretty rough because in 2008 they were over leveraged, so we literally went bankrupt, and so they you know had properties that they used to get other properties, and then when everything collapsed, they lost basically everything. And so my mom was working 2 jobs and you know barely getting by, and so I didn't see her that much because when I was coming home from school, she was doing her second job. So it was a lot because she was a single mom raising us. She's working all the time. You know, I don't talk about a lot of this. You know, I have Crohn's disease, so I was very sick growing up. My brother also had issues as well. And so, you know, we're not the healthiest kids in our teenage year.
It was quite matter of fact communication. There's no playing with extroverted ethics in his communication.
She's
beg me to do homework, and I mean, I was, I was like, I didn't, I didn't mean it in a mean way, but I mean, even one time I literally told her, if you want my homework done sometime, why don't you just do it? You know, like that's what I told my mom. Like, what am I doing? I don't know. Like, I was just like, I don't care. Like, I just want to be successful. I want to build businesses, and so it was like.
And he had a sense of vision from the beginning, in terms of where this is going to go. That's a waste of time. This is what I need to be focusing my time on, which is that I think is that introverted intuition.
Take care of her once it's made money, because she gave everything to like. I wouldn't be where I am now, but it was like me and her spoke different languages when I was younger. You know, she didn't want me to end up like them, you know, and get screwed and not have much money, and like the path I was going down was just basically like, oh, I'm gonna be a homeless drug addict, and like her brain couldn't compute the world I saw, and my brain couldn't compute the world she saw, and it was constant friction.
Who was looking after you then? If she was busy working and you were at home and your dad's not around, who takes care of you?
I just me and my brother, we were just there. I was just making videos.
You're making videos?
Yeah.
What age did that start, the videos?
I started at 11.
11.
Yeah. So I'm 26 now. I can't really remember life before YouTube. Like, my earliest memories are basically when I started making videos.
You said earlier you don't talk about your dad much.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me about it, but why don't you talk about your father?
Doesn't remember anything before making this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tumultuous relationship.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have the best relationship. I mean, that's a topic for another day. Honestly,
He doesn't want to focus on that at all.
But yeah, my mom is great. I love my mom.
She used to cry.
He won't be led into areas that we led him.
A lot of things. She would cry because I wouldn't put money away. When we started making money, she thought it was too risky. And I mean, the thing is, nothing she would say was unreasonable. Right? Looking back at it, she was perfectly reasonable in what she was doing. I'm just a deranged lunatic and was way too obsessed with building a business and way too all in. Like, it's very cute. One time she, like, when we had, I don't remember, like some month where made like $100,000, and I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I can spend $100,000 this next month on videos. And she like took like 5,000 of it and put it away for me in my own bank account without telling me. But in case I ever went, was over leveraged or went bankrupt like they did, and I found out about it, and she's like, please don't take this money. Just let me set aside anything. Stop spending everything on videos. And I was like, no, this is perfect. Now I can spend more. Like, this is awesome. Thank you, Mom. And like, but to me, I don't really feel risk. Like, if anything, it like risk excites me, and like I have very high threshold for it. So yeah, we literally weren't communicating the same language. But I don't remember what age it was. But eventually, after I took enough risks and figured it out, my mom just said to me, you know what? I'm gonna trust you. Like, I have faith, and everything got so much better after that point. When like she stopped staying up all night worrying about me, worrying whether or not I was making the right decision. When she's just like, Jimmy, I trust you. I know this. You think about this all day. Like, I'm gonna just follow your lead, and our relationship has been, perfect ever since then.
If I'd asked 10-year-old Jimmy, how are you doing? What would he have said?
10, I don't know. But if you asked me at like 12 or 13, I probably would have been like, fuck, like, no one watches my videos. I just really want to be a YouTuber. I gotta make this work.
Why did you want to really be a YouTuber? Because kids say that, but the extent to which you said it, and the focus that you had on that particular goal of being a YouTuber, because there's many things you could have focused on. You could have been a video game player or whatever, but YouTube is a particularly interesting thing because you're on camera, people are seeing it, there's a metric which decides how successful you are. Was there any element of the on-camera part that was helping to solve for like the feeling of isolation that you seem to have at that time?
No,
was there community?
Yeah, I think it's more to do with just I found out that when I was at a young age, probably around 11, that there were YouTubers that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. This is it. This is the perfect question. It shows he is not in it for extroverted ethics.
Just my family in general. So it was like everything. It was like, this is what I love doing. I never had.
This makes money. This is why I do it.
Just I could see a path where I could actually retire my mom, take care of her, pay her back for, all the nights she worked so long, so we could live comfortably and things like that. So it's just kind of, the thing is, one thing that irks me is when people try to like put someone's motivation into like one little bucket. Like we're very complex creatures, and like you have a girlfriend. I would never say, oh, you just like her because she's pretty, but you like her because she's pretty. But you probably also like her because she's smart. You probably also like her because she's fun to be around. She likes similar shows. Blah blah. You probably, if we sat here for 10 hours, you could probably give me 1,000 reasons why you like your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very annoying when people try to put why you like doing a certain job or building a certain business into one bucket. Oh, you just do it because of money. What if I do it because I like money and I enjoy it, and it's a way to do this, and it's a way to communicate with people and communicate with these other things? You know what I mean? And I think that's a common flaw we try to do. It's like it's not that simple.
I think it's a lot of people can't understand someone
He's
being
not.
so relentlessly focused on something.
He's not compensating for a feeling of loneliness by going to YouTube. He just sees that as a way of making money, and he'll come across well for that purpose. And yes, quite right, Isaac.
Think about
it's just pragmatic thinking. There's no categorical thinking going on here. And it's for his pragmatic thinking, his problem-solving mind, he's able to, as it says in this video here, on cracking the attention economy.
I can just obsess endlessly about something, and I can just have the same thoughts over and over and over and over again. It's very weird. Like it wasn't like it was work for me grinding YouTube for those 10 years or whatever, where no one was really watching it. It's just like kind of who I am.
It would have had to have.
All right. So, is there anything else that's interesting we can? Extreme ambition, thoughts on hiring, dealing with negativity, workaholism, mental health. Is he happy? Let's take a look at this. Is he happy?
Happy or something, and he doesn't even consider the question to be important.
Yeah.
So 2 questions there. Do you think the average person would like to be in your head? And secondly, are you happy?
Well, no, the average person does not want to live the life I live or be in my head. They would be miserable because they're just working all the time, and they would probably just ask themselves, why am I working all the time? Why don't I do literally anything else? I mean, because obviously I'm not a robot. There are times where I'm like, fuck, I really want to play this strategy board game, or I want to do this thing, and I look at the schedule and I'm like, oh, maybe I could do that in 4 days. And the hard thing is you really have to be delicate with the framing of your mind, because it's very easy in moments like that to go, fuck, I'm like a zoo animal. Like I don't have free will. I'm like a little robot to my businesses, and and so you have to be very careful, and sometimes those emotions take over, and especially because I'm a very
And that's interesting. That negativity comes. I'm like a zoo animal. I am playing fiddle to my businesses. I am not in control of my own life. And that's a very gamma neurosis he just went into there.
defiant kind of guy, and I'm like, but I really want to do this thing, but I can't because I got to go film this video, and I got to do this, and I got to speak at this conference, and I got to do this networking thing, and blah blah. And so, yeah, I think most people, when that feeling comes up, like, am I just a fucking animal? Like, do I have any free will? They would probably be very depressed. But I've been able to work through those, and just I always try to, your brain, you just got to control your thoughts. Be like, well, this is the life I chose.
It's not, am I worn out? It's, am I a zoo animal? Do I have autonomy?
You should actually see this as a good thing, because this is why, which is why I'm very diligent about how I frame things in my mind. Like, this is why no one else will do what you will do, and this is a good thing. This is what you are feeling right now is your mode. You're lucky it's hard. Push through it, and you'll be happy you did. And so that's kind of how I try to view it. But no, I don't think most people would be happy with my life. They would be like, oh, let's just grab a couple $1 million and be happy.
Are you happy?
It depends what day you ask me. Right now, I'm having a good time. When I had the flu in Africa, sitting in a cage with lions, fuck no. So,
what's your baseline? How would you describe your baseline?
Probably this year, so far more unhappy than happy, and it's just they're just things you got to do that just aren't fun, But I think I really deeply enjoy working on festivals, and I'm trying to spend more of my time building it. The problem is it's just opportunity cost, because I'm the only one who can be in front of the camera and film, and that's what's brutal, especially with Beast Games. I'm just filming so much. It added so much shit to my yearly filming, doing this giant show on top of already having the largest YouTube channel. When I was already
does he have to be the one filming all the time?
So I'm just that's just the rough part, is because it's like it just all rests on my shoulders, and if I don't film, there is no content. Like the channel just.
Why does he have to be the one filming? That's a good question. Why doesn't he delegate that?
Find more joy in entrepreneurial things and building businesses.
That's what he enjoys, not the filming, not being on show.
But it's just like weird because
That is the extroverted ethics role. That's his role function right there.
Someone doing so well on a platform like YouTube where the algorithms always change.
All right, I'm pretty sure he's an LIE at this point. So yeah, I think he's LIE. Let's close the book on that one. Right. So is the thing. €23.99. That is about $28.17. So that's more than $20. So I'm gonna have to prioritize of Adventure 6004. Thank you very much. James Rolfe. Sure, let's look at James Rolfe. John Rolfe? No. James Rolfe. I don't know. American YouTuber, filmmaker, and actor. Okay, let's see if I can find it on here first. It doesn't always go from Google. Okay, good. James D. Rolfe is an American filmmaker, actor, comedian, and YouTuber, best known as the creator and star of The Angry Video Game Nerd, a pioneering web series that humorously reviews and critiques retro video games through the lens of an exasperated, profanity-laced persona. All right, launched in 2004 on GameTrailers.com as the Angry Nintendo Nerd, series quickly gained a cult following for its irreverent style and nostalgic focus on flawed 1980s, 1990s gaming hardware and software, then transitioning to YouTube, where it amassed millions of views and helped define early internet video content creation. Rolfe, who hails from Penns Grove, New Jersey, began his career in independent filmmaking as a teenager, producing over 300 short films and animations by the 2000s, often centered on horror, sci-fi, and pop culture themes. He's expanded his creative output through Cinemassacre Productions, his production company and website founded in the early 2000s, which hosts multiple ongoing series, including Board James, a comedic review show for vintage board games, and Monster Madness. All right. Not a marathon of horror movie critiques. He's predated and inspired many modern YouTubers by blending physical comedy, detailed historical context, and unfiltered rants against gaming glitches and poor design choices. He made a feature-length comedy, Angry Video Game Nerd the Movie, that parodied 1980s sci-fi films while tying into the AVGN lore, marking his transition from web content to theatrical release. Wow. A supportive family environment, his parents encouraged creative pursuits early on, gifting him an audio recorder for Christmas, which ignited his interest in recording sounds and storytelling. He displayed a passion for artistic expression through drawing, creating comic books, and experimenting with stop-motion animations using toys and household items. Education, attended local schools in southern New Jersey. Okay. Let's see what else. 2005, he directed The Deader, the Better, a macabre tale of cemetery workers encountering the undead, serving as a capstone to his pre-professional horror experience. These were all self-funded through personal savings and odd jobs, embracing no-budget techniques, prioritizing creativity over financial resources. He did the logistical hurdles of sourcing props and locations affordably, often improvising everyday materials to achieve atmospheric effects. His horror shorts. So quite a resourceful person. You can see that the Angry Video Game Nerd in 2004, shortly after graduating from college. Your inaugural episode was Angry Nintendo Nerd. Core format revolves around him portraying the titular character, a foul-mouthed, beer-swilling retro gaming enthusiast who delivers profane, rant-filled critiques of notoriously flawed vintage video games in the 1980s and 1990s. Eventually, as it expanded, went from Angry Nintendo to Angry Video Game Nerd, starting episode 15. He had a production was entirely solo in his home basement studio. Okay. His primary venture in feature films was in 2014, so 10 years after. It adapted his web series pursuant to a full-length narrative. Got censors on The Angry Video Game Nerd, a fan mouth, yada yada yada. Who's approached by a seemingly innocent fan called Mandy, alongside his camera friend Cooper, then embarks on a road trip to Alamogordo, New Mexico, to investigate the urban legend of millions of unsold ET cartridges buried in a landfill. So it comes in a battle of wits and gadgets, pitting the nerd's phobia of the notoriously poor ET game against a mind control scheme. Following the film's release, he expressed exhaustion from the process, so he had no plans for a direct sequel due to the financial and creative toll, opting instead for smaller scale projects. Interesting. So he found it was just too disruptive, too exhausting for him to do again. So that's interesting. He harbors a profound, oh, good, nice sort of family going on. Okay, I was a profound personal fandom for retro gaming during his childhood immersion in classic video games in the 80s and 90s, feeling a lifelong passion for preserving and revisiting the era's interactive entertainment. His affinity for horror films is particularly evident in his enduring love of the Godzilla series and the kaiju genre. Musically gravitated towards heavy metal. Yeah. In his self-published autobiography, a movie-making nerd, he offers intimate, non-professional insights into his hobbies and first personal growth, detailing how his fandom shaped his worldview amid everyday challenges. Okay. Let's take a look at some of his content. Let's see the first one, Angry Nintendo Nerd. See if it's still on there. Full season. Let's just see the full season. That's full season 1, okay. Let's see.
Worth the bonus stages, which are next to impossible. Now,
Let's see what he's like now.
Now, when you get to level,
Is this the same guy? Must be.
You know how Pizza Hut used to not just be about the pizza? The Care Bear sticker books only at Pizza Hut. Most Pizza Huts now, you drive by them and you don't even think twice. They're basically just there for DoorDash orders and the next real estate opportunity, probably for a vape shop or something like that. But this one in Pennsylvania, in a town called it's near Scranton.
It sounds like the same guy.
Let's just say Scranton. So this is Pizza Hut Classic,
Mm.
and walking in here, it felt just like I went through a time machine. So I drove out here with Justin, Ryan, and Patrick, some of the guys behind the scenes at Cinemassacre and Retroware Games, and we just started talking about Pizza Hut memories. And that's when it hit me. Pizza Hut might be the most 80s and 90s restaurant chain of all time. Also, speaking of things that got burned into your brain back then, Pizza Hut's ads. Yeah, their commercials were everywhere. Promotions, characters, slogans, movie tie-ins, the whole deal. It was like you could not escape Pizza Hut marketing if you grew up
So
in that
lots
era.
of focus on nostalgia.
Ads. Here's a quick message from today's sponsor. In today's day and age, why does everything always have to be so difficult for us movie buffs? Just the other day, I was wanting to watch the classic movie Beetlejuice, so I checked.
It's the same guy.
It wasn't
This
until
looks quite a bit older now.
Why? I don't know, but that's where ExpressVPN comes in to make it easy, and simply by using ExpressVPN. All right, back to the Hut. Domino's was always about delivery. Same deal with Papa John's, and yeah, Pizza Hut had delivery too, but it was also a place you actually went to. Like, you remember the booths with that picnic-style tablecloth, the tinted trapezoid windows, the weird cozy lighting, that chandelier lamp that always looked like in your grandparents' dining room, and the damn red cups. Those red cups are basically a national treasure. This is the kind of place you had birthday parties, and I've noticed it's very big for kids after baseball games. I never played baseball myself, but I know it's a thing. Little League. You may not have gotten a trophy, but you got Pizza Hut, which was probably a better reward. Or you went with your family.
A key aspect of this, and also with the games, the critique of gameplay, the critique of the physical vibe and feeling of being in Pizza Hut. There's
this reading program called.
Am I right in saying there's a bit of introverted sensation in here that's more than just right at the bottom?
All meat buffet, which doubled as the salad bar at different times. And then, of course, there was the breadsticks and cheese sticks with the marinara dipping sauce. I was all about the breadsticks. Stuffed crust, when that happened, it felt like a scientific breakthrough. Eating the pizza backwards?
Is it another worldly spirit compelling these people to eat their pizza the wrong way? It's new stuffed crust pizza.
And Pepsi. I don't remember ever trying Pepsi until recent years. I think back then I was all about root beer, maybe ginger ale, Sprite. Really, there were just too many soda options.
Last time I had a Pepsi was when we made the Pepsi Man episode. And the last time before that, I don't think it was ever, actually.
Yeah, I remember the Pepsi. I can see why it's popular post.
Yeah. This is a huge cup, by the way. There's no way I'm drinking this whole thing.
Yeah, but it is the classic red cup.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
it's very big. There's no way I'm drinking this. No way I'm doing this. He's deciding over the physical comfort of that thing he's going to do. That's interesting. Which again fits into him. I'm nowhere making another film. It was exhausting last time I did that. It's like an interview. After the movie. You see a bit of the movie? Let's do that first. That's a little bit. That's a trailer. Go on. I was wondering, is there a bit of similarity to the Burger Suit Review guy? I mean, the Burger Suit Review guy, he doesn't put on any kind of character. He just is like that. This guy's quite different in that respect. There's maybe a mix of that and the Critical Drinker we looked at before. Let's see the James Rolfe interview. Right. Here we go. Let's look at this. I don't. Also, another thing, I don't know that an LII would play the character of a nerd like this. I think that. Actually, did we do it? What did we type? Oh no, we did type LI. I don't think an LII would play a character of a nerd like this. I think it almost is a bit too close to home for someone with extroverted ethics as a suggestive function to put on a character like that and play up all the issues of nerdiness and sort of social awkwardness and that sort of thing. I don't know, but let's see. I might be wrong.
I'm Gabby.
Hello, and I'm JP, and today we welcome our special guest for today, somebody who needs no introduction, but an introduction, of course, he does deserve. Without him, we can safely say gaming culture would just not be the same. You might say he made retro gaming cool. It's the angry video game nerd, but better known, of course, as James Rolfe. Hello, nice to have you here.
Oh, hello. Well, thank you.
It's the other way around. Yeah, it's James Rolfe, better known as the Angry.
I feel like James Rolfe is much more special than the angry video game nerd. He is James Rolfe first and then angry video game.
That's very true.
Nerd second. Cool. Nice to have you, James. Cool. Well, how about we start and start asking all of our special questions to James. James, so we're super curious to know what inspired you to make the angry video game nerd character a character that's
a standard classic question in this sort of environment.
I feel like no matter
Any
how many
answers.
times I've been asked it, I always have new answers as the years go on. So I
Mm.
guess as you get older, you get more perspective and just more, more answers to yourself. You sort of know yourself better. So I feel like at the time when I made the first episode, it was something I needed at that time to wind down a little bit after graduated college. It was very, stressful as expected, and I just finished a film that I spent 2 semesters on. And once that film was done, I wanted to do something that was less serious, something less pressure, something that
Less
I could
pressure.
finish in like a few days. And that was the Simon's Quest review. And another reason I do that type of thing, I guess, was that you use your best resources as a creator. You tend to use what you know the best.
Use your
So
resources and use what you know the
retro video
best.
games, but thought that was some topic that I had a experience with, and then also the idea of filming something all by myself. That's pretty typical of me. Like even though I have
Doing it all by himself,
sometimes
self-sufficiency is coming in here.
all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I know best.
Mm-hmm.
I set up the camera, I talk to the camera, and I've been doing that since I was a kid, so I'm very
Yep.
familiar with that type of method.
Yep.
And sometimes even
I think we're closing in on the Delta ST here.
So even today, I still do that a lot. So that's how it started, but that's also kind of it's not just how it started. It's kind of in the middle of the story, really. So now I'm still doing that kind of thing, and yeah.
I see. So kind of like maybe as a way of blowing off steam a little.
That's how it started. I'm still in the middle of it. When I think about it, many answers come to mind. It doesn't. There's almost like an aversion of giving too much clarity.
That first episode, it was,
Like there's this, there's also this. There's all these nuances as well.
spontaneous thing that happened in like the course of a day. It probably only took a few days to make the video, maybe even less. I did it very quickly. It's hard to remember all the exact details of when I made it, but it was just something I put away after that. I showed some friends. It was on some VHS tapes. That was about it. YouTube was still,
VHS tapes.
On the horizon. It wasn't a thing yet. I think YouTube came out like a couple years after that. It was probably like, I think there was like a beta version like 2005 and then 2006 in the spring. I remember that was when I made the third episode, Karate Kid, and that's when it started to really begin. So the first two were just little experiments in a sea of other experiments, and then those ones took off.
Yeah, because I remember you host all of your videos back then on Cinemassacre website before it actually went to YouTube, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was a new concept of uploading videos to the internet. It was a very new thing, and they didn't look good. They were there was a lot of compression, a lot of artifacting. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to say it was very crude at the time. So YouTube made that a lot easier.
So basically, you said before that you.
Why they stand? It's so awkward how they're standing. He's sitting.
Did you just choose games that you personally have personal grudges, or are those just like bad games you heard from people that was like bad games, basically?
Oh, they were games I knew, and I guess the research came in 2 phases. The first phase was childhood, and then the second phase was college, because we played a lot of those games. I think in college we sort of got a lot of that nostalgic reminiscing out of the way. That was where it all sort of came out. Like, oh, I remember this game. You remember that game? And we played Simon's Quest. It was one of the games we played, and we were just asking ourselves questions like, why are there stairs that go up to nowhere?
I know.
Why does the guy fall? Why does he die when he falls in the water, but not when he falls in the swamp? By the end of it, I would just start like cursing at the game, and my friends would laugh, and then I sort of developed some of the catchphrases, and then then when I put that all to use, I made that episode, and I thought that was mission accomplished. It was done then, but it was really just the beginning of the whole series.
Nice, nice. Well, obviously the gaming landscape, as you've kind of already hinted on it, it has changed a lot since you were a kid, since the 2000s when you made the Angry Video Game. How do you think that retro games are still influential today, now in 2025?
Oh, that kind of eludes me. I'm really not sure. I know a lot of people were really young watching my videos, and some of them way too young with all the language and everything. Because they'll come up to me at conventions and they'll say, "Oh, I've been watching you since I was a kid," and then they're like a grown adult now. So I didn't hear from them at the time, but now I do. So there's actually more people watching than I even knew. Yeah, so I guess at that time, people are always interested in the past. They're always interested in something that came before, because I know I do. I like to listen to music that came before my time, watch plenty of movies that came before my time. I mean, I watch movies that are over 100 years old sometimes. Definitely interested in the past, and I imagine that younger people still to this day are interested in it, and you probably just don't hear from them yet because they're too young to,
the making of an AVG episode.
to get on the internet, I guess. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's either an LSC or an SLI. I don't think which.
I'm going to talk about what goes into making an AVGN episode. Now, since day one, fans have expressed genuine interest in what goes into making an episode, and many of you have asked perfectly legit questions on my site.
It's something which you find a lot with super sincere types when they're doing something funny. Think of Rowan Atkinson playing Mr. Bean. It is also a sort of stock, sort of funny character, and it's very deliberately over the top and not very deliberately not who they actually are. I get that sense with this character. Mm. Mm. Got that.
So I never did. The only years I smoked weed was probably within a 2 to 3 year span. Yeah. Which was over 20 years ago, like I said. And yeah, if you want to get into these stories, well, none are good. None are absolutely horrible. Like none of them put me in the hospital, or none of them got me into like severe trouble or anything like that. But one of the first times I smoked it could have actually been the first time. It was in college, and there was a bunch of people that would hang out in the room and they'd smoke weed like all the time. Yeah. Like every day. And they didn't make a lot of noise when they were doing it either. It was just sitting around, just passing a bong around, whatever, And then one day they asked me, like, "Hey, do you want to smoke this?" And I'm like, "Oh, they smoke it every day, so whatever, I'll just try." I took a puff. As soon as I took a puff, in the door walks not the dean, but like his assistant or like his second guy come in, walks into the fucking room. Oh my god! I smoke it, and then the first thing I do, I'm like, I have the smoke in my mouth. I just pass the bong to the guy next to me, and then we kind of like hit it, and we're just sitting around and like, I don't know how we got away with that. But he cited us for like some trash violations, like, oh, we didn't take our trash out or something much more minor, basically. Boy. But again, art school, it's to be expected. Yeah, I mean, it's to be expected, but it was not tolerated. Like, there was letters before that were like, hey, we already had to expel like 10 students for smoking weed. If you do this, it's one strike, one warning. So after that, all my friends, all the people in the room would just like look at me and like, okay, you should never smoke, because I'm bad luck. Yeah. If I smoke, I'm gonna get in trouble. So that's why I'm never doing anything illegal for the rest of my life.
No one gave a shit in our school. My friend used to smoke with the fucking security people. Like the security guard downstairs, they used to share a blunt out in the back of the building and stuff like that. So like, our institute, no one cared. But we would get in trouble if we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did it in senior housing.
Yeah, so I was naturally freaking out over that. I don't know if I was freaking out because of what happened or if I was freaking out because of the weed. I really couldn't tell.
Probably both, to be honest. Yeah.
So then there's some like other stories that are worse on like a physical level.
some of them are very minor. Let me get some of the minor ones out of the way first, because I've had almost every single thing that could happen. I mean, I think like all the stereotypical things. Like, okay, one time you might remember this. I don't know. You and a bunch of buddies, we were smoking. Smoking with all you guys, and I think we were just like playing some video games or something. And I fell asleep during it. Like I smoked and then I just like passed out. I just went to sleep on like your couch or something. But meanwhile, you're all playing video games in the same room. And then I like woke up and I go, I am so fucking hungry. Just crap. I'm like, dude, I need something to eat like right now. So I like went to my parents' house, which was nearby. We were next door neighbors, but I wasn't living there at the time. It was like I was staying there for like a short time in the summer. This was like, in the summer during college, and so I come into my parents' house where I was staying, and it's late at night. It's some weird hour, like 3 a.m, whatever it was, and I'm like, I need something to eat. So I'm like going through the cabinets in the kitchen, and usually there's like something to eat. There's something, anything. I couldn't find it. I found a can of green beans, and I'm like, so I just like open up this can. I so just find a can over here. And I just poured it in my mouth. Like didn't. Oh my god! I'm just like down in this cup of green beans. I'm so fucking hungry. And then
It's like you're finding things in the post-apocalypse to eat,
like Fallout, like green beans.
A little energy.
Right. And then there was a bunch of times where nothing happened. To be honest, like lots of times I'd smoke and just nothing.
He's quite grounded in his relationships as well. What else? I'll just look at anything that just confirms it.
All right, this is the original gamer OG at SGC with the Angry Video Game Nerd, James Ruff. Thank you, sir. You're a very busy man. It's hard to get in touch with you, but by all means, you're definitely a popular guy here. I want to say, because I'm an Opie and Anthony fan, I really want to talk about that. How did you have your own show on their channel, right?
They were watching a lot of my videos and commenting over them, which was an honor. That was great. And then they asked me to actually do an interview like on the show, and I did that. And I think they were really taken back that I was very normal. They expected this angry nerd, and I was being myself. But still, it was a great experience, to talk to them, live, everything. Then they called me back to have a show on Saturday Night Virus, and I did that. So I came up in person and we did that, and that was definitely a different experience because I'm not used to like radio, like on the fly like that. It's like I need something scripted. I need to, plan things out. But it was like
He's not used to improvisation.
Like 3 hours.
He doesn't like being on the spot.
Rambling, but there were some good moments in it though, so it was good.
Yeah, I've heard different things where people called up about the Irish video game.
There was the sort of same sort of level of speaking. Almost sleepy.
For giving up on the Angry Video Game, right? I mean, was that a tough decision? Or, I mean, stop doing videos? How did that all come about?
I need to. I'm doing one Angry Nerd video a month right now, which is still like a lot of work as it is. Just to do one a month, 2 a month, I almost like killed myself, and so I cut back for my own health mostly.
Wow.
But no, I have no plans to retire it soon. Just needs to be on a more leisurely pace. Otherwise,
pacing is very important to him.
It's just a job. Like I'm just doing it.
He takes his time. He's meticulous. He takes his time putting these things together. He doesn't rush. He doesn't rush anything. He feels if it gets too much, he knows. He doesn't like to punish himself at all.
Sequels that weren't so bad. That one you just put up.
I think his introvert sensation is calling the shots here. And there's a good balance of extrovert logic and introvert logic, and how he's practical. He figures out how to do this most efficiently, but also there's a lot of structuring going on as well, and there isn't any sort of just going going on the fly.
Dark Knight.
He's been doing the same thing for a long period of time. Yes, he made a film, but it's an iteration of the same kind of thing. So yeah, I'm leaning SLI. I am leaning SLI for him, not LSE.
Sequels that aren't as bad as everyone says, and I think I hit it there. So that was fun.
And the last thing, you did a video where you go around and look at the landmarks for Rocky and Ghostbusters. Is there another movie that you want to do that for? Another one of your favorites that you really want to check out and see the actual?
See anything else I can find?
Yeah, I did one. There's a lot of them that I can think of. But there's one that I shot 2 years ago. It was for the Blob, actually, and ever since I need to finish it up. I need like one more day of shooting to wrap it up and start editing it. But I haven't had time, so it's been on the back burner for 2 years now, and I'm finally going to work on it soon. I think if I get the.
It's like sitting woods every time. How would you like if you were playing a game? They made you come in and pause it.
Well, that's the angry video.
The key thing is the feeling of inconvenience and disruption of flow in the games that he's playing. And you see the best moments of it, AVGN. Let's take a look at this.
This game sucks. This game is fucking horrible. This game is ass. I'm gonna beat up Roger Rabbit now. Yeah. This is Jessica Rabbit. Well, I got your number and I'm calling just to say fuck you.
I hope you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, well, I hope you're proud of yourself, and you know what I mean, you fucking whore.
I'm not bad. I'm just strong that way.
Yeah, well, wait till I draw your suicide note in your own blood, you bunny fucking bitch. I'm coming over, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill your whole motherfucking
goodness.
Over to blow up this brick wall. Watch this, it's probably the best explosion ever. Yeah, look at that. That was pathetic. I can't get over this fucking jump. If only those 2 extra platforms weren't there, it wouldn't be a problem. God. Can I get up? Can I get up? No. God fucking damn. Get the fuck up there. Get up there. Fuck.
Is that feeling of frustration that he draws on this? It's not flowing, it's not going well, that sort of thing. It is kind of introvert sensation driven.
This game is as a feeling as a fucking oozing dirt fucking sewer rat shit. I've had more fun playing with dog turds. Shredders my ass and splinters my balls. This game is an inside-out asshole regurgitating putrid anal fecal matter. I'd rather fucking yank all the hairs out of my scrotum. I'd rather this guy get vomit out of a buffalo cane.
It's so amped up and ridiculous.
This game is horrible. What is this guy doing with that?
It's almost Mr. Bean like. It's like so obviously ridiculous. It's the kind of humor someone who's actually quite focused on introverted ethics would resort to.
I mean, leave me alone. I'm trying to collect clock. Yes, it's true. Back to the Future 2 and 3. 2 shitty games for the price of 1. Let's check it out. Holy shit, look, the DeLorean. Now, I remember that from the movie. Not so much the piranhas, the snails, the weird face, the running frog, the bouncing thing, the thing in the sewer that comes out and kills Marty, the little dinosaurs, the cloud that drops pellets, and whatever the fucking goddamn hell that is. And look at those. What are they? Goombas and the spiky thing ripped right off of Super Mario Brothers? Fucking slackers. There's gotta be one good thing about this game. I know what it is. It's in a toaster. Then you go to Grimace's board. Here's Grimace, the big purple fuck. Look at his house. It looks like Barney the dinosaur testicle.
Toasty. Wally. All right, this time we have a guest reviewer. I don't know. It might be kind of weird. Hey, come here. No, not there. Hey, tell me.
This guy has no extroverted ethics whatsoever.
Comment game. Kind of a weird one. And hey, shit pickle, you like video games?
The awkwardness is inherent, and it's there whether he's in character or not. There's no polish to when the way he does this.
Just like the one-player game.
Right. Okay. I think SLI for him. I want something a bit more. What's the word? I want something a bit more definitive to rule out LSC, but okay, no, the key things again is the structuring with the how he works. The fact he's done pretty much the same thing again and again and again and again and again. It's that when he hasn't when he's drawn back from doing things, it's because of pacing, because of it exhausting him doing it too much too quickly, and it's a sort of very clear monotonous way of speaking that very much a sort of gawky awkwardness with how he makes his content, both when he's in character when he's not. Those things are all coming together to give the impression of SLI over LSE. Hmm. This is massacre stuff again. 20 years, wow. That's his VHS collection, wow.
Since I was a kid.
Wow. Yes, that's such a cultivated space as well.
Oh yeah, and you walk Disney World. I mean, you know when you walk through the gate and it says you are now leaving the land of the living, or we're not living, you're now an mansion, maybe. No, yeah, that one. But it's like you're now entering the world of imagination, right? Yeah. I feel like from there here, I left 2015. And I came back to 1990. Yes, and that is exactly the goal here because I just wanted to preserve, because everything I do is some kind of preservation of the past. I just want to keep alive the memory of the video store because this was a pastime. And I know you're a little bit younger. This is pretty amazing. Yeah, see, that's the thing. In your videos, you got this wonderful preservation of the past thing going. Yeah, you even got the see. I'll tell you where you beat me and everyone else. The freaking wood paneling. Oh, man. You gotta have the wood paneling. This is where we would have the Bugs Bunny fights here and all that kind of stuff. But it would be in the same. Yeah, like, actually, it's unbelievable how this room has gone through so many changes. Because I put up these walls. Oh, because this was here. No, it wasn't. So I'm gonna probably change it again too. Actually,
There's also this sort of this key thing of nostalgia, of relating to things from his youth. And really stepping into that, it's more of an introverted sensation, introverted ethics push than it is an extroverted thinking, extrovert intuition push. It's kind of split. Why have this room? Why put this room together?
Stuff because it's all gonna disappear one day.
All going to disappear one day. Got to keep it. Got to preserve it. Got to safeguard it. It feels meaningful to him based on his personal experiences for it. Again, it's the introverted feeling as well as the introverted sensation.
It's nothing, but it's like when he went, there's just nothing left. He was the most important person, I think, to the whole. Honestly, well, I thought it's pretty much Bill Murray is the one that everybody. Bill Murray's the one everybody loves so much. Yeah, I have nothing against Bill Murray. Okay, you know what? This might be blasphemous to say, especially in these hot hallowed grounds. Why do people love Bill Murray so much? Why do them? I guess as much as why they love anybody so much.
I guess, but it feels like Bill Murray gets like an. I'll tell you what it is. It's because he's mysterious and down there. That's gotta be what it is.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of he's a little eccentric. He's a little unpredictable. I think that kind of makes him more.
You could tell he's like kind of like anti-establishmentarian. He doesn't want to follow the system, so I guess it's appealing. People can feel it. But what is this?
The original tape? Oh, it's
Do we have much of an answer to that?
There's the tape that goes with it.
But I think what makes Bill Murray most apparent out of him is some of the extroverted ethics goes into that as well.
At a frightening, at a frighteningly low price of $14.98 each. Suggested retail
stuff. Where did you get this stuff?
I stole my Blockbuster card.
No, dude, I saved
Wow.
this somewhere. Dude, I remember. The thing is, though, did you guys have Hollywood Video? Was that a West Coast thing?
We had Hollywood Video. There was some, yeah.
I like them, though.
Okay. There's a West Coast Video was
I just do not see extrovert sensation as a demonstrated function for him.
Oh, that's a classic film.
Oh yeah.
Terrible film. Wait, this one I haven't seen. This is a Japanese one, right?
Oh yeah. They
Okay, I think that's a life for him. Right. Let's go back up to Isaac's suggestion. John Byrne. Thank you very much, Isaac. Yes, I do need to get your essay onto the blog. I will put aside some time to do that this week. Thank you very much, Isaac. It was a very, very good essay that he wrote as well, which is why he's now a WSS diagnostician. Not that I have much for them to do at the moment, but he is certainly more than has more than what it takes to be in that group. So thank you very much, Isaac. And if anyone else wants to become a WSS diagnostician from the Join the Diagnostics team, what you need to do is one, you have to take the WSS type mastery pathway. You have to read it all, understand it all, because then what you have to do is you have to write an essay on someone whom you would like to assess, and you need to put together a full argument using what you've learned in taking the WSS type mastery pathway. And if you do that well enough, with a bit of help, I'm happy to critique and send back the essay. I'm very slow at doing it, but eventually it does get done. With my critique, if you learn from that, if you improve and you do something which is really, really, really good, really, really up there, then yes, you become a WSS diagnostician. So that's what Isaac has been able to do, and other people can as well. What does it mean? Well, you receive a special certificate, and you get to join the WSS Diagnostics WhatsApp group. Where there's some great people on there. There's Peter Bartle on there, Rita's on there, lots of other people. Jason's on there. It's a good place to be. Fun place. Akumani Money is there as well. Kamani is on there. Very fun. Right. So let's continue now with John Byrne. John Byrne, an acclaimed Scottish playwright. Excellent. Oh, is it this John Patrick Byrne or John Lindley Byrne? I wonder who it might be. Might it be the Scottish playwright? Or might it be the British-born American comic book writer? I wonder which one Isaac may have suggested. Must be the acclaimed Scottish playwright. Could possibly be the comic book writer, an artist of superhero comics. Let's see if he's on Grokkapedia. That's the playwright. I'll just see if he's actually on Grokkapedia. I know the search isn't great. Okay. It's coming up. Comics, there we go. John Linley Byrne is a British-born, Canadian-raised, naturalized American comic book writer and artist. He's entered the comics industry in the mid-1970s, initially gaining notice for his artwork on titles like Marvel's Iron Fist and Uncanny X-Men. His collaboration with writer Chris Claremont helped define the latter series' iconic Dark Phoenix saga and elevate its sales and popularity. His 1981 to 1986 run of Marvel's Fantastic Four, where he both wrote and penciled, is widely regarded as a creative high point and revitalized the series by emphasizing family dynamics, scientific adventure, and detailed, realistic artwork, including subsequent interpretations of the team. Okay. So there's quite a few things there: family dynamics, scientific adventure, detailed, realistic artwork. What was the trade-off? I don't know. In DC Comics, his Man of Steel miniseries rebooted Superman's origin and continuity post-Crisis on Infinite Earths, streamlining his mythos, restoring core elements like his journalistic career, and achieving commercial success that shaped the franchise for decades. His style, characterized by precise anatomy, dynamic layouts, and expressive storytelling, earned him acclaim as one of the era's premier talents. For his outspoken views on industry practices, creative ownership, and fan interactions have sparked ongoing debates. There's always that sort of stuff going on. Especially creative ownership. Goodness, they're all talking about that. Born in 1950 in West Bromwich. In Canada, he continued to lack formal artistic training. Instead, relying on self-directed study of comics as primary educational resource for drawing and storytelling. So, informal learning environmental instability contributes independent in development, distinct from institutional influences prevalent in more stable upbringings. Okay. His artistic influences were rooted in the foundation figures of American superhero comics. During his formative years in Canada, he's repeatedly identified Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Neil Adams as primary inspirations. Kirby's dynamic compositions and cosmic scope, leaving the deepest imprint, followed by Ditko's economical storytelling and Adams's anatomical precision and dramatic lighting. These artists shape his early understanding of pacing, figure work, and narrative clarity in sequential art. Lacking formal training, he honed his skills independently through rigorous self-study, meticulously copying panels from Marvel and DC Comics to internalize techniques in anatomy, perspective, and inking. This method, supplemented by immersion in comic fanzines that dissected professional techniques and shared amateur works, allowed him to refine his style, blending Kirby's bombast with Adams's realism without institutional guidance. Rejection from traditional art programs, common for aspiring comic illustrators of the era, further entrenches an autodidactic approach, emphasizing practical replication over academic theory. His entry into comics it was in 1975 through Charlton Comics, which provided entry-level opportunities and amid its operation of low-cost, high-volume titles. His debut series was Doomsday, a post-apocalyptic adventure penciled and inked by Byrne over a plot by Pat Boyette, marking his initial foray into full interior artwork for color comic. He also handled the Rogue 2000 backup feature, a gunslinger character he created. She identifies his first published Charlton work, emphasizing science fiction elements with action-oriented storytelling. His reputation for page rates as low as $40, far below industry standards, meant unstable freelance gigs rather than steady employment. It afforded Byrne practical experience during the publisher's mid-1970s contraction, as aging presses and lapsed licenses curtailed new superhero output. By 1977, his focus shifted to reprints and declining viability in a slumping market. Byrne transitioned to higher profile opportunities, leveraging these foundational efforts into Marvel contributions. Okay. Collaboration on the Uncanny X-Men. He joins the penciler, partnering with writer Chris Claremont to succeed Dave Cockrum on art duties. Pivotal element was their co-plotting of the Dark Phoenix saga across issues, which chronicled Jean Grey's corruption by the Phoenix Force into a destructive entity, culminating in interstellar consequences and her sacrificial death. This arc, blending high-stakes superheroics with psychological drama, marked a sales turning point. Project introduced key elements like Kitty Pryde, and joined the team, so there's a generational bridge and adding useful perspective to group dynamics. Okay, this is the thing is the writer was Chris Claremont, it seems. I'm not sure how much that was actually his creation in terms of the writing side, more of the penciling, the inking. Yeah, he's a penciler. Right. Launch of Alpha Flight, a superhero team conceived by John Byrne. Ah, so he came up with this in collaboration with Chris Claremont, debuted as antagonist to the X-Men. They pursued Wolverine on behalf of the Canadian government. He subsequently launched the team's self-titled ongoing series of Alpha Flight. The full creative juice as writer, pencil, and inker. This marked a departure from the X-Men collaboration, allowing Byrne to independently develop the series as Marvel's premier Canadian-themed super team, distinct in its focus on national rather than mutant-centric narratives. The launch emphasized innovation through culturally-rooted characters and storylines, portraying Alpha Flight as operatives of the secret Department H under Canada's Department of National Defense. Commanders include James Hudson, an engineer's exoskeleton suit evoked patriotic defense, tied to Canadian resource interests. Michael Tu Youngman, a shaman who embodied First Nations spiritual traditions, and Naya, drawing from Inuit mythology with shape-shifting abilities linked to northern landscapes. Byrne infused a narrative with explorations of Canadian identity, contrasting the team's diverse regional origins, such as Quebecois, Twins, North Star, and Aurora, with broader themes of unity amid multiculturalism. Okay. A core element to critique governmental oversight and inefficiency. The series premiered with Department H's abrupt shutdown due to department budget cuts, stranding members without recognition or support, which Byrne used to underscore bureaucratic disregard for superhuman agents previously deployed in covert operations. This setup forced the team to self-organize against threats like the Bedouins' ancient demon Tundra in a debut issue, highlighting tensions between individual heroes and state control. So lots of themes going on here, perhaps more than characters, it seems. Commercially, Alpha Flight sold briskly, capitalizing Byrne's momentum for revitalizing the X-Men Fantastic Four. There was lingering intrigue from the team's X-Men ties and Wolverine's Canadian backstory. Expanded Marvel lore with new villains, alliances, and character arcs such as Guardians' apparent death and resurrection, cementing Alpha Flight's niche as a foil to American-centric teams like the Avengers. However, he ended his run after issue 28, later stating the characters, originally disposable X-Men foes, lacked inherent depth and failed to engage him creatively amid a demanding workload across multiple titles. So he didn't feel the characters had much depth. That's interesting. Peak Marvel runs. He assumed writing and penciling duties in Fantastic Four. Like his prior ensemble-focused work in the X-Men, he shifted emphasis to teams' familial bonds, portraying Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Joy Storm Begum as a dysfunctional, resilient family unit confronting personal scientific challenges. He restored core character dynamics neglected in previous years, centering out on Reed and Sue's evolving romance and marriage, including their relocation to the suburbs to raise their son Franklin. He deepened Ben Grimm's arc as the Thing, exploring his persistent quest for humanity and cures for his rocky transformation, while grounding cosmic threats in plausible scientific principles such as depicting the ego living planet as a biosphere generating biological defenses. This approach prioritizes self-contained stories over sprawling crossovers, allowing individual issues to resolve primary conflicts, while advancing ongoing character development, which differentiates the title from Marvel's event-driven trends. Okay, so bringing things more to character here, unlike with the whole canvas. I mean, the canvas sounds a bit, I don't know, a little bit sort of naff, as it were. But that's interesting. He temporarily replaced the Thing with She-Hulk, injecting humor and showing the team's lineup during his absence. And he propelled Fantastic Four to consistent top seller status. Very good. What else did he do? Find the plot for a story in which the Hulk confronts a rogue Sentinel from the X-Men mythos, exploring themes of uncontrolled power and technological tyranny for high-stakes destruction sequences. Sends his range beyond superheroes by writing and penciling the further adventures of Indiana Jones. Okay. We did a Superman reboot. He emphasized Clark Kent's human upbringing under the Kents as the core of his moral compass, positioning Superman's powers as secondary to his earthly identity and reducing pre-crisis godlike feats to maintain narrative stakes. This reboot shifted focus towards Clark Kent's assertiveness over the traditional mild-mannered reporter trope, making it more relatable and human-centric to broaden appeal beyond entrenched fans. Change extended to interpersonal dynamics, notably diminishing Lana Lang's role from a central childhood romantic rival to a peripheral figure who indicates to Metropolis, but ultimately departs without resolving a lasting connection with Clark. That sparked debate among readers about accustomed to her prominence in earlier continuities. Despite such alteration drawing criticism for oversimplifying his mythos, the Moon series achieved commercial success, revitalizing sales of subsequent Superman titles. It's engagement with Wonder Woman came later. He went into stories prioritizing casual realism, causal realism in her mythology over purely fantastical origins. So he always makes it a bit more realistic. He's a bit more likely to be grounded in something scientific, potentially. He retconned aspects of Amazonian lore to depict them as historically grounded women granted longevity by gods rather than eternal immortals. We had Cassie Sandsmart as a new Wonder Girl, spotlighted supporting characters such as Queen Hippolyta in her own terms, and elevated Diana to the status of goddess of truth, commenting on the ascension of Mount Olympus, so the prose novel Wonder Woman, Gods and Goddesses. The shift aimed to humanize the character while incorporating mythic elements, but drew mixed responses. Supporters noted improved accessibility and narrative focus on personal agency. Artistic style. His artistic techniques drew heavily from the dynamic compositions of Jack Kirby, an expressive, precise choreography of Steve Ditko, blending these with the naturalistic proportions emphasized by Neil Adams. Clean, deliberate strokes prioritize clarity and structural integrity over flourish, avoiding loose or exaggerated hatching common in some contemporaries. This extends anatomy, where figures exhibit balanced musculature and fluid yet grounded poses, reflecting a commitment to realistic human dynamics adapted for superior exaggeration. Okay, so there's a sense here of precision and dynamicity, but also realism. So that's very interesting. And it fits in also with his narratives as well. His plots also need to be a bit more realistic. Controversies. He created the Alpha Team as antagonists and supporting characters. During his tenure, conflicted with Marvel's editor-in-chief over creative direction and internal decisions, contributed Byrne's abrupt departure from the book. They described the characters as two-dimensional and they experienced as lacking enjoyment. Okay. He co-developed introduced elements such as UFOs, villains, and expansions of the Inhumans lore, all owned outright by Marvel. Shooter-era policies provided them with royalties on merchandise and reprints, part of broad incentives aimed at rewarding high-performing creators. Testified in legal proceedings that his total earnings from Marvel exceeded 10 million across projects, including these runs. No legal challenges to Marvel's ownership of these contributions were pursued by Byrne, who accepted the work for hire framework despite voicing frustrations with his politics under Shooter that influenced his exit from the publisher in 1986. His critique to the comic industry's general mistreatment of talent, saying that the industry does not take care of its own, citing historical examples like Steve Ditko's marginalization, where he defended work for hire arrangements against pushes for creative reclamation or ownership retention, arguing online discussions that cash checks under such contracts invalidate later ownership claims and that appending established IP would destabilize the field reliant on shared franchises. He's publicly identified his political outlook as centre-right, akin to Canada's former Progressive Conservative Party, so traditional values of progressive interventions in cultural narratives, discussion of social issues, which is media-driven normalization of transgender ideology, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Biologically grounded realism extends to defensive canonical character depictions in comics against revisions. These are ideologically motivated. These positions have brought backlash, framed as cancellation efforts by progressive outlets and activists who label Byrne transphobic or insensitive. It frames their reactions as suppressions of dissenting speech rather than legitimate discourse. Right. He retired from producing new comic book artwork, saying he had lost desire to draw following decades of intensive output exceeding 30,000 pages and covers. It's reflected accumulated fatigue rather than ongoing medical complications from the procedure. He limits his physical artistic endeavors but remains mentally sharp and vocal. He actively participates in online forums such as Burn Robotics, offering commentary on comics history, industry trends, and personal reflections. All right. Detailed, anatomically precise art and panel layouts. In dynamic compositions over stylistic experimentation. Served as a benchmark for emulative work like Tom Grummett and Kerry Gamble, fostering generation that valued clarity and readability in superhero visuals. Right. So let's take a look at him in the interview. I'm getting the sense from this sort of person that extroverted logic is there in it. So let's see. And maybe quite a bit of introverted sensation as well.
John Byrne is, without question, one of the all-time comic book greats. He helped turn the Uncanny X-Men into superstars during his legendary run on that book. He revitalized and reinterpreted Superman for DC Comics in classic fashion. And his 5-year stint on the Fantastic Four is considered, alongside Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's run, the gold standard for that series. He welcomed us into his studio and gave us a tour of his incredible collection of original comics art. John, what I think is especially interesting about you is that you're not just a comic book creator, icon, legend, whatever you want to use, but you're also, let's go with legend. Let's go. But you're also a fan of the medium. And you can tell by your studio slash museum here, as we step inside here, wow, you've got some great comic art here on the walls from little book from 1976.
Wow. Something very nicely put together.
Superman Spider team up in the classic Treasury book. What's the story behind these, and how'd they end up on your wall?
Oh, well, let's see. This one I had just bought at a con for a ridiculously small amount of money. And then this one, another collector needed money. He called me up and said, I can give it to you for this much. And I said, well, I'll give you 2/3 of that. How's that?
Negotiating.
And so we got that.
What's it like having these pieces of art from books that you remember picking up off the shelves, even when you were already in the industry? Because at that time you were already, going full guns blazing.
Oh, sure, but this particular book was such a big deal. Even those of us in the industry were just amazed that it was happening. And of course, there's all the, I don't know if you know the story, that Neil Adams re-penciled all the Superman figures because everybody wanted it to be the best it possibly could be.
True team effort.
Yeah. Probably the last time.
Ross Andrew, Dick Giordano.
Terry Austin on the backgrounds. And this was probably the last time something like this could have happened without the lawyers going nuts.
So over here,
yes,
this is something that I believe has special significance for you, a Dick Sprang.
Yes, this is a Dick Sprang recreation of the first page of the first Batman story I ever read. So I was like 6 years old. And when I met Dick, I asked him if he could recreate it for me. And I asked him to please sign it Dick Sprang, not Bob Pink.
That's pretty amazing, like to the letter. I mean,
oh yeah,
everything's hand lettered here, right?
Everything is just, he did the whole thing. I made a couple of tiny changes, just so it was obviously not the original page. Like on the original, this guy's not making a piss. You know, but it's just enough that you can't pass it off as the original, which I wouldn't know.
That was the first comic of Batman you ever read.
Because it blew me away. The Adventures of Superman TV series with George Reeves had introduced me to Superman. And then in a fish market in England, I saw some comics on sale, and one of them had Superboy. And I thought, this must be connected to Superman. So I bought that. I was 6 years old. And it had Superboy, it had a Johnny Quick story, and it had the Map of Mystery, Batman story. And that just blew me away. Batman, the whole concept. And the Dick Sprang art blew me away. And Dave Gibbons, years later, told me that comic was probably an Australian reprint called Superman. So,
the power of nostalgia.
Yeah, it is, you know.
I want to talk about some of the other things here.
There's a few things.
You have a few, 1 or 2 or 1,000 little statues and books. Why do you have so many? And two, does it bring out the kid in you to have all these little statues here in your studio as you're sitting at the table working?
Yes. I have so many because, you know, OCD, but when these things started coming out, I wasn't buying comics anymore. And they were like the thrill of the hunt with comics. You know, every month would be a new something that had come along. And so very much felt like collecting comics again. And then, of course, because I'm me, I had to go nuts.
Now, you're clearly a Batman fan.
Bit of a Batman fan.
Bit of a Batman fan. I love the fact
An obsessive tendency.
Mike, twice, but because you're a completist, you have Ace the Bat Hound.
Ace the Bat Hound. You got to have Ace.
Now, something else here that's catching my eye. It looks like Neil Adams.
Well, yes, as I often say, you have to have 2 Batman pages by Neil Adams. You know, if you have to, you might as well have the origin story.
You may as well. You may as well. Interesting fact that I learned when I was researching. You and Neil have never actually worked together?
We've never worked together.
How's that possible?
We hate each other. It's the only thing I can think of.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
No, it's just those paths. Aside from the fact that I would be so intimidated, it's just never happened.
You guys should rectify that. You guys are both still doing amazing art. That can change.
I'll get Neil to ink the X-Men book that I'm not doing.
Now, you have a lot of Wonder Woman stuff.
Yes.
I know you have an affinity for that character and for that dude over there. Super whatever.
Superb man. Well, I buy the Wonder Woman because she's so underrepresented. So I buy just about every Wonder Woman figure that comes out just to say, please, do more. This is Wonder Woman. She deserves the attention. These days, of course, she gets the attention. Like the life-size one over there, for example.
Wow.
Now, John, I know amongst this pile of great comic book graphic novels here, there's one here that has a little special meaning for you because it takes you way back to when you were 6 years old.
When I was 6 years old. Well, I was introduced to Superman.
They read the right one?
Yep, by the TV series. And then I saw this in the window of a shop on Main Street in the town I lived in England. And this is not actually the one I bought. So I had to replace it. But this is a black and white reprint annual. And that is really what got me pointed toward comic books. And then a few months later, I found a comic book with Batman in it, and that hooked me forever. So there it is.
That's where it began.
That's where
Thanks, OGB SMTDWLR.
And now, of course, as you do, I have 2 of them.
John, you're surrounded here by artistic examples of some of your contemporaries, but also a lot of your heroes who you were a fan of when you were just a wee lad.
All these people who were better than me, yes.
Well, that can all be debated, but you have some great examples. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez with one of the best Superman images ever. You have some amazing Joe Kubert art.
5 Joe Kubert pieces, 3 of which are Hawkman from the Silver Age. One is from the very first Hawkman
Right.
in the Silver Age.
I'm getting so much from this.
What kind of influence did Joe Kubert have on your...
But there's a lot of significance to him. It's a bit similar, you could say, to what we were just seeing with that angry nerd fellow, and that he's built this whole space of significance to him, and sort of going down the nostalgia. So I'm going to play with that a bit. Maybe is he another SLI? I do wonder. Peter Pan met John Byrne. Now, hang on. This is not the right John Byrne at all. That's the other John Byrne. Right. Let's do this one. And then the other one.
Why am I covering such a sort of controversial, cranky Raider artist? Well, it's because I'm still abroad. I am currently in Vancouver, Canada, and John Byrne emigrated to Canada at age 8. He was a Canadian.
I'd say
made
cranky.
A Canadian comic that we're going to review today for its tropes, and it all just felt like it fit. So we're going to cover John Byrne. Wow, what a career the guy's had. I mean, he's had some amazing, very well-respected runs on titles like X-Men and Fantastic Four. I mean, he rebooted Superman in 1986 in that Man of Steel limited series. That thing was really, really great, especially at the time. I mean, it simplified the character, it grounded him. He did a lot of great things. At one time, he was the most popular artist. The mid-'80s, John Byrne was king. These days, maybe not so much, and I don't think he likes it because he gets into these sort of bickering, just cranky old man type arguments with other comics creators like Jim Shooter, Eric Larson, Dan Slott. He's just so cranky, it seems. He once got mad at Jack Kirby. Basically, Jack Kirby was like, you know what? I don't think Marvel gave me the amount of credit and money that I'm owed. And I think that's totally fair since he co-created half of Marvel's titles in the 60s. And this was like early 80s. John Byrne writes an editorial saying he's proud to be a company man and you should be pleased with what you get because you know the deal going in. Like, who takes that position? Anyway, we're going to cover John Byrne.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Canadian snap. Believe it or not, there are different things.
Why does that make him the cranky one, though?
South. That's right. US is the south to Canada. All right. Let's see which tropes there are. So put on your suit, grab a bag of milk. It's Comic Tropes Canada. Some of the tropes you could expect to see in a John Byrne comic book. Characters standing on the panel border, rebooting a title. Panels where everyone's mouth is a gate. Dense crowd shots. Scenes involving lots of rubble. Cameos from other superheroes for just a page or two tops. Backgrounds of metal plating. Retconning characters back to life. Homages or references to older comics, especially the Lee Kirby Fantastic Four run. Evil CEOs, cross-hatched speed lines. I wish I could come up with more because when you see a John Byrne comic, it's a John Byrne comic. Certainly as an artist. So, whatever. I still suspect we'll encounter 4 to 5 of these tropes in any given issue, but I'm going to look for something specific. We're going to go to a Canadian comic book store and try to find a Canadian superhero book that John Byrne did, Alpha Flight. Let's go. Comic Shop is a store in Vancouver that's been here since 1974. Huge selection of modern comics, back issues, some independent stuff, lots of toys.
Are you getting that much from him?
All sorts of stuff. I'm sure I'm going to be able to find some Alpha Flight in here. That's what I'm going to look for. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Should probably just by
That's Alpha Flight, right?
Pretty good example of him rebooting an idea. And I don't mean that he would always start it from scratch like he did with Man of Steel, Superman. so much as he'd take an existing property that had been maybe neglected or wasn't as popular. Not every book that he did, but certainly a lot of them. Alpha Flight at the time were just very small supporting characters from Uncanny X-Men. They were Canada's superhero team, but they never had their own title. John Byrne thought it would be a good idea to write and draw one. But you know what? It never really caught on. Alpha Flight just sort of hangs out on the periphery of the Marvel Universe. I'm surprised they don't use them on something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because there's never going to be an Alpha Flight movie, I can tell you that. But that's rebooting a title. That's a trope. I'm eating some strange Canadian delicacy. There we go. The story begins with Vindicator, the team leader, learning that, sorry, but Alpha Flight has officially been shut down. It works as part of Department H, a secret bureau of the Ministry of Defense in Canada, and the Prime Minister has told him that he's sorry, but they can't justify the spending. Alpha Flight is shut down. But we're coming across a trope right here on page 3. Vindicator is standing against just this bizarre, nonsensical metal plating pattern. It's something that, like, plenty of comic book artists do. I've never really understood exactly what it's supposed to represent. I think, basically, it's giving you a textured background as compared to standing against, you know, an overly detailed hall wall or a very plain, flat hall wall. But either way, that is one of the things he'd draw plenty of. That's a trope. You know what's some of the most fun reading these back issues for this series are just coming across the weird old ads. It just used to advertise different stuff in this way. Oh, okay, this is from some sort of like a side or Spider-Man Spidey. He said it was disrespectful. These are fictional characters, John. They're not going to get offended because they don't really exist. But that's a cute little homage. Wrote adoptionally, even as he gets older, it's almost like more. John Byrne loves the old 60s Marvel era. I mean, every book he has seems like it's trying intentionally, even as he gets older, it's almost like more powerful, trying to throw back to those days. He does not like killing off characters. He gets mad when other characters kill off a villain. You know, he wants people to not use nicknames for superheroes. He literally once wrote a diatribe against fans calling people like Batman Bats or Spider-Man Spidey. He said it was disrespectful. These are fictional characters, John. They're not going to get offended because they don't really exist. But that's a cute little homage.
Thank you very much, OGBSMTDWLR. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciated.
Supernatural, because he just walks around dragging his foot and he traces the image of a giant. And since this is a comic book, we can assume that he's not just drawing a picture, but rather there's supernatural forces.
So let's see a bit more of it. So John Byrne, being this sort of cranky figure, thinks it's disrespectful to use nicknames for different characters. So treats, again, this idea of deep personal connections to certain characters. And you can see in his room, he's got all these sort of homages to different characters. He's got the statues, he's got the different comic books. He takes that sort of stuff very, very seriously. Jubba reacts to Dark Phoenix. Critical error? What's the critical error?
It's a pretty substantial interview with John Byrne, and just to kind of give context for the time when that book came out in 1980,
it's a book.
About like how he's been in.
Fine. What else? Let's independently verify this. of a lessening of the awe surrounding superhero mythology, irreverence. He criticized the use of nicknames such as Bats or Soups, calling the President of the United States by disrespectful names. Formal respect and interview can be referred to by their proper names. He knows that even while Bruce or Clark using his less formal super personas, more successful than Brucey or Clarky. Let's see. Interesting. Does it come from here? I don't know. I don't know whether that's the right reference.
This is Batman 3D, an all-new graphic novel by John Byrne from 1990. 3D effects by Rayzone. This book is kind of special to me. I've been looking forward to talking about this one for a while. First of all, it's a book I can remember seeing on the shelves at Walden Books, local. This is also from a very early time in my comics reading life. I didn't start reading comics until 1989 when I was 13. So this book came out not too far after that. And it's also from a time.
Don't know if it's at all relevant. Burnisms. Opinion observations of John Byrne. I will vote the specialist rule. The guy who's only fast gets to be the fastest. What's Superboy syndrome? Too many fans today consider themselves far too hip and a go-go to ever go along the most basic conceit of serial fiction that the main character will survive, but will pretend to say the story, but it is not given. Well, every time Superman fell into a kryptonite death trap, usually I only had to wait 4 to 5 pages to find out if it was going to be okay, but it never occurred to me to shrug and flip to the next story to see if he survived. Only when reading Superboy was I ever aware that there was no tension. So we knew Superboy would become Superman. There's Superboy syndrome, and caution runners to be very careful about it when doing flashbacks or more significantly flash forwards. If you reach a point at which you know no harm can ever fall from main characters and you're unable to simply accept that without commenting, there's no real tension. You cross an important line, and there is no point in you continuing to allow this kind of fiction. Accept it for what is, or move on, but don't find fault with the ocean because it's too wet. Characters clean up their act as they become more popular, as with Mickey Mouse no longer feeding cat's tails into sausage grinds, or Superman and Batman no longer killing the bad guys. All these sort of syndrome things. Thinking about being assigned to a title character is a man to blow everything up and start from scratch. Applied facetiously, this is usually done without a fraction of time spent working out what was done in MOS. Right. Was Candles adding unnecessary details which complicate a character's backstory. Comes, of course, from the bottled city of Kandor, which used to reside in Superman's Fortress of Solitude. Necessary every time Superman visited this fortress to spend a couple of panels explaining what Kandor was. Final story was done in which Superman succeeded in restoring Kandor to its normal size, also placing it on an alien world that phased out of our reality between like 400 years at a time. Problem solved. Another story was done in which it was decided that Superman missed having Kandor in a special place in the fortress. So it was a perfect scale model of it, which had to be explained every time we went to the fortress. Okay. So all these things where you sort of answer these questions online. As I've often known, one thing that most clearly defines DC is the de-uniquing of their characters. I don't mean creating franchises. I'm referring to it as the multiple iterations of characters with the same powers and abilities. So for Superman, we see Superboy, Supergirl, Crypto, Comet, Streaky, all the happens of Candle. There's a sense of he's quite analytical. Batman gives us Batwoman, 2 Batgirls, Batmite, Ace the Bat-Hound. Many of the characters are kid versions. Even when presented with a character who was effectively a one-off, like John Jones, we have had a whole race of beings whose ability was a standard issue, like having brown eyes. I enjoyed all the multiples and multiples as I got older, especially after I got into the business. I got to really wishing there was some way every DC character could be the only ones. He's quite in line with his personal attitudes towards things. I think that's quite clear. He has very clear opinions on things. When I was a kid, I was absolutely in awe of the characters to call Superman soups or Batman bats. It would have never occurred to me to be on it would be on par with calling the United States Tricky Dick or Slick Willie. Names you will recall that were not applied with a modicum of respect. Thing is, I was not alone in this. None of my comic reading friends called characters by anything other than their names as a pre-existing nickname, like Cat for Captain America. On the business, I soon discovered many writers' nicknames in their plots simply to save the typing fingers WW or Wandy is quicker to type. The wind-inducing bats and soups. Stan, of course, occasionally referred to Spider as Spidey in their printed books. You see, but it was from this that the affectation really took its hold on fandom. Stan also once and only once referred to superheroes as long underwear characters, but with so many things, Stan was able to get away with stuff that didn't work when others did it. So they kind of seeping into stories themselves, often not making much sense. I think it was Don Thompson was pointed out that writers had taken to having her fellow Justice League members call Wonder Woman WW, something which Don pointed out made perfect sense to a writer. As if she keystrokes, but none whatsoever when spoken aloud. Wonder Woman had fewer syllables than double W, and would be quicker to say aloud. As all such things comes down to respect for the characters. When I hear soups and bats and mags and wonder and all the rest, I cannot help but think that the speaker is surrendering, if only just a little, to the contemptuous attitude civilians have towards these characters. Batman speaker signals to the listener that she does not really take these characters and stories seriously. He would not be viewed as one of those geeky fanboys or fangirls. Goodness. Wow. He has a he definitely has a lot of opinions. This idea that it's not about respect. You need to respect the characters. You need when he criticizes Jack Kirby as well. That's interesting. Hang on. No, wait. On creators' rights in comic scene 2. Famous customer was a cog in the machine and creative work for major publishers accept the system as it is, to accept ownership of work for hire properties. He later clarified that he supported the idea of change, but that many contemporaries were being hypocritical or unrealistic for the nature of the industry at the time. Paradoxically, he often sought high levels of autonomy and demanded to work without editorial interference, while remaining a company man regarding intellectual property ownership. He's quite polarizing. See a bit more of John Byrne. But yeah, from something like that, I'm skeptical of SLI being the typing for him. I think we put that one to the side. But which one is he?
Somebody on my forum whether there was any chance that I would go back to Marvel. And I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, can I go back to Marvel? Can I even still do that?
I am here with the great John Byrne at his wonderful studio. John, thank you for welcoming us in here.
Well, you're welcome.
I want to get right to it and ask you a question that I think is percolating in the minds of many John Byrne fans. Is there a chance you might be doing a new book for Marvel?
There's a chance. There's always a chance.
How much of a chance, John?
Well, I'd say it's about 50-50. It's going to happen or it isn't.
You've been sharing some pages of it. You've been doing essentially on spec, and you've been sharing it on your forum, Byrne Robotics. Tell me about the idea behind it and why you were inspired to jump back into the X world.
Somebody had asked me on my forum whether there was any chance that I would go back to Marvel. And I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, can I go back to Marvel? Can I even still do that? And I pencil for someone else to ink, and I put myself back into that frame of mind. And I thought, well, let's pretend it would be a kind of an Elseworld where Phoenix didn't die, and proceed from there. And I know they've done that before, but this would be my version. And so I did a page, just a practice page. And then I did another one, and then I did another one. And pretty soon I had 20 pages. And I kept posting them on my website. C.B. Sabosky, who's the new editor-in-chief of Marvel, saw them. Said, let's talk about this. So in Boston convention, we had a breakfast business meeting and talked about it. And there's nothing to announce yet, but it's out there in the ozone.
Has it been refreshing to step back and work with these characters? And it's been quite a long time since you did the Hidden Years.
Yeah.
So
and these are the X-Men from my vintage. The strangest thing about it has been the fact that they pretty much just fell out of the pencil. Like they'd always been there. They've just been waiting for the moment to get ushered back onto the stage. Oh gee, how does this guy work? No, he's all there.
Now you mentioned that this would be kind of a continuation of the story when you left the book. Way back when in '84, the Phoenix the Untold Story showed the original ending that you and Chris had, where Phoenix, spoiler alert, lived. This would be picking up right after that.
Exactly after that. I suggested that if this does become real, then we should reprint the Untold Story as issue 0. And so, because here, then sort of come back next month or next week or whatever. Here it is.
You've talked before about how the dense continuity in comics, not just Marvel, but Marvel has this problem too, and it's so hard to crack and for new readers that it's also the same kind of problem for creators to step back in after a while to a book like the X-Men or the Avengers. Is doing an out of continuity book like this pretty much the only way that you would do something again?
I think it is. I think it's really the only way I could return to Marvel would be to go back in time and go back to, what was it, 1980? And of course, as I like to say, this is going to be like Hidden Years in that it's set in the past, but it takes place in the present. So, you won't have to know any 1980 topical references, and all the cars will be modern, and all the fashions will be modern, just to make it easier, and also to avoid any suggestion that it's a reprint. I don't want people going, oh, it's just a reprint. No, it's not. So we'll see, but it's all speculative.
If this happens, you may create a new path for artists to get their books greenlit.
There's a sort of pedantic thing here, like preempting someone getting the wrong end of a stick and then in his mind even correcting them. No, it's not. Because people get to do things wrong, or he has to speak out to say that thing is not correct. It actually is this. There's quite a lot of that going on there. Let's see. In depth and Fantastic Four. Come on.
Mine. And they're all real Marvel characters, but I created them.
What the Superman, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four.
I don't get much sense of humility from him.
One man, John Byrne. Byrne is simply put the Jack Kirby of my generation, one of the true masters of the Bronze Age of comics. Basically, if you read comics in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you know his work. Byrne was the first artist I collected on name recognition alone, and I'm sure I'm not the only fan who did so. My name is Mike Avila. I write and talk about comics for a living. People talk about dream jobs. I'm example A. I've been lucky enough to talk with Byrne at length about his career, his passions, and even somewhat
Moment, I'm leaning. I'm leaning more Gamma for him at the moment. Gamma with some introverted ethics more than an LIE. Not an SEE, so it must be Gamma introvert, if anything.
Will the elusive John Byrne give me a glimpse into the artist behind?
Oh, so he's quite elusive, is he?
Get a little closer to Gamma.
Wants to cuddle? Right here?
Sometimes I wrestle with my demons. Sometimes we just cuddle.
I once saw a photo of Byrne in an old fanzine surrounded by his world-class collection.
He seems like a contrarian type to me.
Nothing could compare to some price.
He's quite set in terms of how people should feel about how people should relate to things, how people should watch people should call things.
Yes.
And not really caring how it comes across to others. I get that sense as well.
Both collector, walls of his Sanctum Sanctorum are lined with iconic original art pages from legends like Jack Kirby and a rare Jack Kirby Spider-Man drawing.
Yes. Yes. And, of course, that page is inked by
Neil Adams.
You have to have Batman pages by Neil Adams. You might as well have the origin story.
Whoa. Check out that Superman by Jose Luis.
It's a very nicely maintained space.
John, surrounded by just examples of some of your contemporary, but also a lot of your heroes.
All these people who were better than me. Yeah.
Give me 2 or 3 artists that really impacted.
Yeah, we've seen this already. Let's see anything else. Explosive tell-all interview, really. I see him when he's younger. Let's see this first.
Break Caesar's ghost, a midlife crisis for the Man of Steel? Whoa, it was time to give him a new look and a new attitude. Not to worry, Superman will continue to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. He'll just have to sweat and grunt a little bit more to pull off some of his superhuman feats. Writer-artist John Byrne is the man responsible for forging this new improved Man of Steel. The first comic
Not smiling.
stands on the
He just appeared and he's not smiling.
tall buildings single bound.
Oh, you'll be able to leap considerably higher than tall buildings. Yes.
However, are going to be limitations.
Yes, we are cranking him down quite a bit. In recent years, he's been able to push planets around, and we think that's getting just a little bit too much. It's hard to do an exciting story with a guy who's that powerful.
The kids decided he was too super for their modern taste?
More or less, yes. Yes, there's a perception of Superman that because he is so powerful, he is automatically boring. And we are saying, well, okay, he's less powerful, therefore less boring.
Ah, not only that, you gave him kind of a new look.
Bit of a new look, yeah.
Let's look at the new look.
Softened him.
Superman. This is the new guy.
It's interesting.
He softened the look.
All that different. What subtly have you done to this look?
Well, that's a shot of the young Clark Kent. So.
Well, this is Clark.
This is Clark, yes. Superman still wears the familiar costume. There he is, in fact. Boy. Yeah. He is a little less, what would be the word, I suppose, stodgy. Over the years, he's kind of softened, and we've chipped away some of the softness and given him a more traditional bodybuilder kind of build and a kind of a more rugged He-Man kind of face.
Okay, so not softer. Haven't made him softer, the opposite.
Does Clark Kent need a Nautilus equipment in his apartment?
Clark Kent needs Nautilus equipment in his apartment to explain why Clark Kent has big muscles. Because, you know, why would this, mild-mannered reporter be built like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Well, he's not all that mild-mannered anymore.
Not anymore, no. He's a little more oomphy.
Well, the kids thought he was a wimp?
Yes, well, he's always been a wimp. Unfortunately, poor Clark has had to run around pretending not to be Superman so much that he has had no.
So he's brought some more extra sensation to the alter ego character.
So he doesn't pretend not to be Superman anymore.
So we can take him seriously if we passed him on the street.
I sure hope so. Yeah.
And what does he do for a living? And is he real good at it?
Yes, he's the best reporter, come feature writer, come whatever else it is.
Quite matter-of-fact communication. There isn't much extroverted ethics to him.
No, we didn't. He was on TV for a while.
That didn't work.
That ties him down too much. You know, when you have to be on camera, you can't be dashing off to the phone booth to change into Superman. It kind of cramps your style, you know.
The Today Show starts at 7 o'clock, and I've got to be there. What gives you the right to tamper with an American institution, a public utility like
public utility? What gives me personally the right?
Well, you and them, or they, or whoever y'all are.
Well, the DC Comics, which owns Superman, has the right simply because they own Superman, right? And I should point out, of course, that this isn't the first time it's been done. That this is about the 5th time that a fix has been done on the character. This is the most sweeping, perhaps. But over the years, we've reached points, basically at about 15-year intervals, where we have said, something's got to be done here.
But even some people are going to think, yeah, that's what they thought in Atlanta when they gave us New Coke.
New Coke? Well, actually, we've heard that reference a lot.
Yeah.
And the point that we generally make is that we are doing classic Superman. Because we're taking him back to where he started.
Well, this is the 4th of July issue.
That's the first issue cover.
This says the legend begins. Have you rewritten his history too?
We have restructured his history because a lot of debris gathered in a 50-year period.
What debris have you gotten rid of?
Everybody else with super in front of his name.
Such as?
Supergirl, Superdog, Supercat, Superbat, Super Aardvark. You know, all of these are gone, you know.
Doesn't like these sorts of gimmicks. It is gimmicky.
I think one
Doesn't
of the
like
most important aspects of the character was that he was sole survivor of the doomed planet Krypton. And now he's that again. Nobody else walked away from that.
Lois.
So re-establishing that narrative.
She didn't come from Krypton.
Is she a Hunkette?
Hunkette? Oh, God, no. She's self-assured, self-motivating.
Yes, the answer. A Hunkette.
A Hunkette, okay.
Good luck with it.
Well, thank you.
Good luck. I want some.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm leaning. I mean, could he be LSI? I'm not detecting much introverted logic. That's the thing. I guess he's either an ILI or an ESI.
You're listening to Fanboy Radio, the voice.
It's a radio thing?
2:30.
Back, this is Fanboy Radio. My name is Scott. I'm with Oliver.
Howdy.
How's it going?
I'm awake.
Right? Good news. I'm here with us today, and he chuckles as I call him a living legend. For over 30 years, our guest has been changing comics for the better, working from the most popular titles and characters on out. John Byrne has been breaking ground, has had groundbreaking runs on X-Men, Fantastic Four, Superman, Alpha Flight, many more, and has proven himself inside the world of independent comics as well. He is now working as a writer-artist on the rebooted Doom Patrol series, as well as the Blood of the Demons series, and is the artist on upcoming run on Action Comics. We are joined by Mr. John Byrne. Mr. Byrne, how you doing?
I'm good. Hello.
It's great talking with you.
Well, it's great to be talked to. It's lonely out here.
Oh, yeah, I guess it gets a little bit lonely for you comic book guys that crank out so much material. I mean, it's just sitting in solitude.
Yeah.
Well, as a consummate writer-artist, you know, which responsibility is more important to you? You know, the writing or the drawing, or do the duties kind of blend together?
They blend together. I mean, if you're doing it right, comics are visual storytelling, so the writing and the pictures kind of meld together, and you don't really notice one over the other.
Well, it just seems like in today's comic landscape, there's a very distinct script writer and then a very distinct penciler. But do you try and look past all that into just what's being presented on the page?
Pretty much. I mean, I think my job, whichever of the, let's say, 2 or 3 jobs are out there, whichever combination of them are handed to me, my job is to tell stories clearly and concisely and and punctually.
Well, let's start off with some Comic Pass talk, and we won't talk too much about it because we've got some great stuff coming up right now as well as in the future, and we want to cover a whole bunch of issues. And you can join the conversation, by the way, all of you listening. It's 817-257-763 number is the number to join us here live on 88.7 The Joy. There's also a forum at the fanboyradio.com message board where you can post a question that may get on the air. We'll see if it's worthy. And
pauses. These are some of his quotes. Files, goodness. Along a big heaping hill of learned responses, however, in a society like ours, normal sex is by men to be filthy disgusting. Abnormal sex is even more so abnormal in the case of any attracted to younger, it's likely to find himself attracted to younger girls, but there's pattern of self-loathing, so much emotional torment. Victims and victimized will surely be set aside if our society was sexually limited enough to be able to say, sure, it's okay to attract 11-year-olds, just don't do anything about. Right, okay. Okay. Imagine 24 pages of superhero adventures produced by the same writer and artist every month. How do they do it? Well, being professional about it, but that's not too much like work. Things that kept most comics from being monthly was that very few artists could produce 24 pages per month. Jack Kirby was very much the exception to the rule, but as time President Marvel started to dictate the whole shape of the industry, that's where problems set in. And more. Tom Strong, the rest of the ABC bunch have called for a lot of reasons. First, I realize it's pure subjective, but isn't. I find a smugness condescension that reads to me as nostalgia being done by someone who is not in the least bit nostalgic. Almost as if Moore sits down to write and flips his brain 180. So he's not really writing what he feels, what he likes, just the exact opposite of what he would usually write. Interesting. Nostalgia is not in this bit nostalgic. There's no logical reasoning for that. It's just a feeling he has. Also, there is a whole pastiche, homage, whatever thing I find is really annoying. Not just when Moore does it. I can look back on elements of my own work and be annoyed at myself for going down that path. I only did it on rare occasions, though. Moore has turned it into a career, so much so that in the post-Watchmen era, I had trouble calling to mind much that he has done was not based on someone else's previous work. I'm not the most original guy on the block. When I do Superman, I do Superman. A lot of this could simply be the bad taste his earlier work left in me, all that tearing down and deconstructionism, all that revealing of the flaws and feet of clay, not a bit of which has served the industry in any positive way, and in fact has left huge scars across it, the ones left in the landscape by open pit mining. And the insult to all the craftsmen who actually work to produce American comics in that. He gets offended quite a lot, I can see. I was appalled, deeply saddened by a number of fans who embraced the series as a brilliant evocation of the comics I read as a kid. I tried to tell myself a success in 1963 merely served to indicate how hungry fans were for old-fashioned superhero comic books. So much so that they would embrace travesty as tribute, but eventually I came to see this as yet another harbinger of what was to come, of a ever-increasing legions who are embarrassed to be caught reading superhero comics, and so would rather see them mocked or change on recognition than simply move on and make room for leaders who are happy to help enjoy them for what they are. I get no sense from Morrison's work there's any love for the genre. I get the same vibe I get from Moore, a cold account. There's a lot of mind reading and how he feels people feel, a cold account of mixing of ingredients the writer knows the fans like, but to which the writer himself has no a visceral connection. Nostalgia without being nostalgic, as I've dubbed it. Being an immigrant myself, I have something of an insight. I think of the way Clark's mind works. I was born in England, but my English heritage was quite a bit older than Canada when I left home, so the connection would be stronger. But I grew up in Canada, I've lived for the last 25 years in the US. I don't ever feel like a displaced Englishman. Like we proud too of his Kryptonian heritage, but later portrayals of him had tried to shoehorn in too much of a psychobabble of adopted children longing for and seeking out their biological parents. Excuse my French, but to me they fall under the heading of ungrateful little S-words. on Neil Gaiman after Gaiman announced his next would be a revamp of Kirby's The Eternals. Oh, goodness. When working with existing franchises, any good writer will return to the source material from time to time to see if he or she can divine from that work something that might have been missed before. If this is true, whether the work is good, bad, or indifferent. This would start over, no matter what the context, is not by saying the creator didn't get it right. The worst kind of hubris. I've been pilloried for my work on Superman, Spider-Man, Doom Patrol in the early days. I've never once said this, said the creators of those series didn't get it right. It disgusts me, not only to read Gaiman saying this about Jack Kirby of all people, but to see the cartwheels people are willing to turn to make his words seem other than what they are. He's really getting into the sort of personal reactions to things. I think he's ESI. I think he's ESI. I think the grounding in his he was start off as a penciler, inker, someone who draws and has and really got that attention to detail with style, right from the get go on building that up. What else can we say? Oh, it quotes about Burn. He's developed a notable online presence with his own website and forum, in which he's a participant and moderator, which is run at both Slush Factory and Online. His comments and through the years in print have gained him reputation as a controversial figure. Most noted as one of, if not the most long-standing and prolific writer, artist in comics today. Has gained a reputation for engaging in feuding with other comic book creators, being accused of getting to such conflict with Peter David, Jim Shooter. Was 2003, he and Eric Larson got an argument which saw Byrne claiming you can tell when Eric is saying something stupid, his lips move. And Larson calling Byrne a habitual liar. It ended with Byrne issuing a non-apology apology. Any other quotes that aren't sort of personal attacks? And those are people who have begun referring to Chris Reeve as a hero. I don't wish to take away one iota of the courage he must have needed, not to wake up screaming every single day, but the hard truth is that there was nothing heroic in what happened to him or how he dealt with it. As far as how he dealt with it, he didn't even have a choice. We could imagine he spent every hour of the day, when not in front of the cameras, begging families to simply kill him and get it over with, but none of them did so. He had no choice but to deal with each day as it came. Heroism, belief, involves choice. This is something, there's very little extroverted ethics in this person. No regard for extroverted ethics in this person. I'm not going to get into that one. The Onion lost all credibility for me a while back when they did a story on the Hudson River cleanup. As some of you may recall, one of my neighbors is a G Veep who was directly in charge of this. From him, I found all kinds of details the press did not bother to pass on to the public. As it gets it in from other papers, the story was full of inaccuracies. What about Michael Moore? And I stopped reading The Onion from then on. It's not even like a joke paper. Okay, time for him to rain in this parade. I didn't know he had kids. This alters the mix considerably. This makes him. It's calling him an asshole. Goodness, cops and firemen saying to place lives in line every day to protect others. This was nothing. There's nothing Steve Irwin was doing could not have done without putting his life at risk. This takes us from tragedy to stupidity and worse, irresponsibility. I'm saying he's glad he's dead. Sorry his wife and kids, but really there's no further danger from his lunacy. Taken out of the crock pen and his... Oh my goodness gracious me. He really has no extroverted ethics whatsoever. Or maybe he does, but it's an ignoring function. It has to be ILI or ESI at this point. There's no other possibility. Wow. John was tiresome to play. John was tired of doing the right thing and getting effed up for his troubles. He's tired of being lied to. John Byrne is tired of you. To fans who essentially try and regain some of his status as a creator. When a fan and forum member made an announcement in one of the message board threads that his mother passed early in the day. No, sorry, but no. I fully appreciate how much trouble we'll get into this, but no. I cannot let this pass without comment. Using the only hours past death of your own mother to make a point about a comic book story. There are not sufficient words in the English language to properly express my disgust. Aliens 3 is everything was wrong with Aliens from an incorrect title. Alien 3 title is still wrong. On the reconstruction, Jack Kobe's original FF-103 project endorsed by Kobe's daughter, Stan Lee, and inked by Joe Sinnott. I have no interest in this grave robbing. I think he has to be ESI. There's so much introverted ethics here. And it's quite a good amount of introverted sensation in terms of how he's been able to sort of build this sort of suddenly his studio, that room. He comes across almost like an LSI that is motivated or runs on introverted ethics. But it's the same sort of just no perspective outside his own thing going on. There's no hedging his bets either. Experience with no capacity for growth or question. Whereas that is no extrovert intuition either going on here. Hmm. I want to go back to Grokopedia. Detailed and anatomically precise art of Paleo's very dynamic composition of his stylistic experimentation. Yep. That's the thing. There is the introverted sensation there. There's the extroverted sensation there as well. There's more of an appreciation for realism, of making things more realistic. The extrovert logic thing is a value. I'm not sure if it's actually strong. I feel like almost too controversial for ILI. Well, ILI can be, but in person, actually not so much. I don't know. I don't see that much introverted intuition. The extrovert sensation is actually more apparent. Also, this whole alpha flight thing, like, why do that? Why alpha flight? Why them? I don't know, I think John Byrne reacts to Dark Phoenix. No, let's see this one. Why did you do this one?
And your host nerd, Tom Fromkin. It's time for another Raiders of the Long Box. Once upon a time, there was a
doesn't seem groundbreaking.
John Byrne. For nearly 3 years, he wowed fans by drawing the hottest book in town, the all-new, all-different, The X-Men. Then Marvel gave him the keys to draw and write the world's greatest comic magazine, the Fantastic Four. 2 years later,
when has he really gone really out there with something?
into writing and
He seems to said very conservative in his thinking, not only in his political ideology, but in his
Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight was created
in how he develops characters
as a team to fight the X-Men. Their leader, Vindicator, aka Guardian, first appeared in X-Men number 100.
He's in Canada, so he does a Canadian superhero team.
Number 120. The plot involved the Canadian government attempting to claim Weapon X, aka Wolverine, as their property, so to speak. Then 4 years later, they got their own comic book, this time as the protagonist. Though John Byrne would walk after 28 issues, Alpha Flight would roll on for another 100 issues, and they've been relaunched several times since. So it's funny to note that John often said he had a horrible time on the book and didn't want to do it in the first place, having no faith in such two-dimensional characters. But it's his work that made the team the success that it was and is. Reading the first 6 issues, you can see how hard Byrne was working to make each member of Alpha Flight a fully developed character. So much so, there's only one real villain in those 6 issues. And frankly, he's quite lame. So all the focus was on defining the heroes. Now let's take a look at those first 6 issues. Issue number 1. Being as clever as he can be, Byrne starts the series with shutting the team down. The government is done with the flight, aka Department H. You see, there was also a Beta Flight and a Gamma Flight. But when a whack job out in the frozen tundra becomes a giant monster called Tundra, Alpha Flight comes together like any good superhero team. Vindicator, Snowbird, Shaman, North Star, Aurora, and Sasquatch. 2 members of Beta Flight join in, Marina and Puck, thanks to Vindicator's wife thinking that Alpha Flight wasn't going to show up. And then when the monster's put down, the team decides to go it alone without the government. Issue number 2. The character building really kicks in. Aurora is shown to be a split personality. North Star is a flamboyant professional skier using his superpowers to cheat. And Marina, well, we aren't too sure.
That's the thing. There isn't deep themes. There is developing the characters. It's streamlining and making the characters more straightforward. There's a lot of sort of him going down memory lane for himself, but I don't see him actually taking the reins of introverted intuition in any sort of meaningful way. That's what leads me to think ESI makes more sense of an ILI. I think he is. I think he's an ESI. I don't think he's an ILI. And I think some of his responses to people, he's so. It's very much whenever he's doing it, it's not that he's just not thinking about extroverted ethics. It's that he is so sure in his introverted ethics, and so set in that he has no regard for extroverted ethics. And that to me is an ignoring function thing rather than a vulnerable function thing. It's not simply that he is blind towards extroverted ethics. It's that when he sees something which disgusts him, he has no regard at all for extroverted ethics. And that's what's coming across in these communications, which are really going to say that about Steve Irwin, yada yada yada. But he's viewing in terms of I've seen enough to know this man's character, and that's why I'm unashamed in saying this very critical thing about this guy who just died, who is beloved by many people. It's not quite an ILI almost casually saying something about realizing its sort of effects on people. It's more deliberately not caring than that, which makes me think again, ignoring function. All right. Well, that's everyone. Thank you so much for all the super chats. Greatly appreciated. But I appreciate everything we've been able to donate. Greatly appreciated. So I hope you all have a lovely week ahead of you, and I look forward to the next celebrity live stream. Wishing you all the best.